China reports on the achievements of Chang'e 8 every day, confident of China's technological prowess and economic effect. The estimated reserves of germanium mines in the Sea of Abundance are a whopping 250 million tons. Converting this to the market price, it is about 6 yuan. This was an astronomical amount equivalent to 3,000 times the US GDP. Of course, there is the cost of mining and transporting them, and the price will fall as the supply increases, but discovering it and bringing a sample was a tremendous achievement that no one can deny. China has already pretended to own all the germanium on the moon. Of course, other countries could not stand still. The US, Russia, EU, and India have issued related statements. The resources on the moon are the common property of mankind. It is impossible for any one country to have a monopoly. According to the Space Treaty, no one can claim sovereignty over the moon, just like the high seas or Antarctica. A country should never exercise possession of a lunar mine. Even if the high seas aren't anyone's sea, it's still possible to fish. The same goes for resource mining. However, no matter how wide the sea is, good fishing spots are limited. The first person to drop the fishing rod will be his place until he leaves. China planned to preempt as many mining sites as possible, and a war of nerves broke out between the great powers over this. President Ronald spoke in front of the people. The United States will immediately put the Artemis plan into action. We will go to the moon. We will begin construction of the base and launch site on the moon within this year. No matter what the difficulty or how much it costs. I spoke to Alan Everhart. The self-esteem of Americans has been greatly damaged now. President Ronald announced the implementation of the Artemis plan. Both Republicans and Democrats expressed strong support for this in both the House and the Senate. It was a big shock that the United States was pushed to China in the mining of lunar resources. Some media even wrote that it was the biggest shock since the United States fell behind in the manned space race. I think it went well. The United States is a country in which it has to have competitors to show its power. The United States, after losing 3 consecutive losses to the Soviet Union in the space race, announced the Apollo program to send a manned spacecraft to the moon, and made it a reality. At the time, competition itself was the main purpose, but this time it is definitely money. There was no reason not to jump in. The U.S. Congress will create an emergency budget to support NASA and private space companies. The development of space will ignite in earnest. The space race has begun again. There's a lot of work ahead. Space C is also trying to launch Fat Phoenix again, but I hope you will invest some money. Aren't there people waiting in line to invest now? It is, but I would like to receive an investment from OTK company. You will need a lot of JN batteries in the future. I asked with a smile. How much should I invest? Although Japan suffered an economic recession after the collapse of the bubble, it has reigned as a global economic powerhouse. Even in this crisis that the whole world was caught up in, it held up relatively well compared to other countries based on a huge domestic market of 100 million won and the yen, a semi-key currency. Japan collected financial market information through various channels. They thought that China was going to collapse. And if China collapses, emerging countries will have no choice but to pass along. The Japanese financial market has become extremely sensitive to losses as it has suffered several times after the earthquake. Therefore, to minimize the damage, capital was withdrawn from Asian financial markets one after another. High-ranking officials from countries such as the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia visited Japan and begged for help, but they vehemently refused. It was Jin Hu-kong that filled the void left by the Japanese financial capital. He supported collapsing countries with his own capital. Surprisingly, the result was a victory for Jin Hu-kong. Not only the world that suffered from speculative capital, but also emerging countries that escaped the crisis of national bankruptcy were busy praising Kong Jin Hu's achievements. Japan's political and financial circles were engulfed in shock. In fact, Japan wanted Kong Jin Hu to collapse more than anyone else. Some on the right also said that the collapse of the Chinese and Korean economies this time could be more beneficial to Japan in the long run. But the opposite happened. The losses suffered by the international speculative capital became the profits of Jin Hu-kong. The money he earned in 2 or 3 months was equivalent to the one-year national budget of Japan. A bigger problem was what was to come. Developed countries announced space development plans one after another as soon as they escaped the shock of the financial crisis. The United States, China, Russia, and Europe will launch rockets to mine germanium from the moon, and Korea will use that germanium to make JN batteries. Now everyone knows that JN batteries are the core of the future industry. Japanese entrepreneurs unanimously urged the government to take measures, saying, if JN batteries are not secured, Japan's industrial competitiveness will lag behind that of Korea and China. Of course, the countries that receive JN batteries preferentially are the countries that have mined germanium. However, Japan is highly likely to be excluded from this. In the meantime, Japan has participated in various space projects through financing, and Japanese capital has played an important role in space development. But now, after the earthquake, there was an atmosphere where he could provide all the necessary capital by himself. As a result, there was no choice but to reduce the number of seats for Japan to stand. In the case of space development and JN battery, all countries desperately needed cooperation with OTK Company. Advanced countries have already moved to join hands with OTK Company. Leaders from Germany, France, the UK, Brazil and India scheduled their visit to Korea in time for the return of Jinhu Kong. I couldn't afford to wait any longer. I urgently contacted Jinhu Kong, who is staying in China, but he could not be reached. Foreign Minister Okamoto contacted OTK Company. After contacting him several times and leaving notes, he managed to get in touch with the deputy chief. Hello, Vice President. The deputy chief welcomed the call. Long time no see. The reason you're calling like this is because we've been successful, right? If I had failed, I wouldn't have even paid attention. It's not like that. I know everything, but what are you pretending not to be? I think it's good. From our point of view, the wider the choice, the better, right? By the way, we must not be in a bad mood. What do you mean? Last week, there was a story that members of the LDP as a group visited the Yasukuni shrine and prayed earnestly that the OTK Company would go bankrupt. Is that possible? Am I wrong? So the LDP lawmakers didn't visit the Yasukuni shrine, right? I went to worship, but it was only part of the religious activities according to the personal beliefs of the members. Oh, belief is important. I wonder what kind of beliefs the LDP lawmakers have, who worship at a shrine dedicated to the gods of war criminals who started war and massacred Koreans. Foreign Minister Okamoto said, holding back the swearing inside him. We will visit you as OTK Company. I'm a little busy right now. You must be busy with work, but... Oh. Not long ago 9-Tails 7 was released. Console games are also made in Japan. I don't want to see anyone until this is all over. Game. Confused, Foreign Minister Okamoto came to his senses and said earnestly, well, please give me a moment. Before that, let me ask you a question. There's something I've always wanted to ask. What? You must be honest. Of course. Whose land is Dokdo? From the moment China launched the rocket, Grant Darrell Rothschild felt defeated. The market was on the lookout for a chance of success. But Grant trusted his senses. Investing requires cool reason, logical thinking, calculations and odds. But sometimes one sense is more important. Now it was one step. With just one step you could have everything. But Grant didn't make the mistake of hesitating in the sunk cost fallacy. Many within the family protested, but Graceman agreed with him. Opportunities can be retaken later. Right now, the priority is to conserve power as much as possible and step back. Grant calmly directed them all. Just as the most damage is done when retreating from battle, so was the investment. The Rothschilds continued to leak information in their favor to the financial world, and while hedge funds and private equity funds held on, they backed away little by little. He sold dollars and bought renminbi, and secretly bought other products while selling shorts and derivatives to other financial companies. He also bought a number of private space companies, companies that make related parts and stocks that would benefit from JN battery. This will serve as a stepping stone for future resurgence. The moment he made the decision, he was able to escape just before he was able to escape thanks to his quick movement. Nevertheless, he had to endure huge losses. 40% of the total capital was blown away. This is the result of pouring everything into it to get the most out of it. If I hadn't retreated at the last minute, I wouldn't have saved it. It was a shocking defeat the Rothschilds had never experienced. But the bigger loss is the fact that you lost. In the meantime, the Rothschild family has reigned at the pinnacle of global finance enough to be the subject of various conspiracy theories. The most important thing in the financial market is trust. The Rothschilds never lose. because everyone believed that he was able to exert influence over the entire financial world, and even with a small stake he was able to control financial companies. But now that status has been destroyed, capitals would no longer have unlimited confidence in the Rothschilds. The financial institutions that suffered losses showed hostility toward the Rothschilds. Others cut ties with Rothschild banks and set up boards of directors to expel Rothschild connections. Previously, the Rothschilds were an empire with colonies all over the world. However, due to this incident, the size of the kingdom was reduced. In the future, it will be impossible to move such a large financial capital as it is now. I lost too much in just one defeat. At Grace's words, Grant's eyelids trembled slightly. Investment is like that. The US and European capitals involved in this plan suffered huge losses. On the other hand, Jin Hukong has the power to influence the market in the future. Rather, this crisis served as an opportunity to further strengthen his power. Who can fight him now? In both capital and experience, the Rothschilds were far superior to him. But he had something that Rothschild didn't have. And that was the decisive reason for the Rothschilds' defeat. Fate chose him in the end. He should have waited a little longer. Grant looked at his granddaughter with fading eyes. Now he had little time left. People die someday, but families go on forever. I have entrusted you with a difficult task. Grace smiled. You don't have to worry. Grant slowly closed his eyes. He led the family from the beginning of the post-war revival. Meanwhile, the world's wealth exploded, and the Rothschilds enjoyed unprecedented growth. He wielded financial markets at will, led the world. All of that was now coming to an end. He remembered an Asian young man he had met the other day. Some people too easily get what they can't find even if they search for it all their lives. Wealth, knowledge, appearance, health, love, etc. This is very common. I am well aware of that fact, but I felt that it was somehow unfair today. What does it feel like to see the future? That was the last thought he had. Not as much as China, but Europe was also disrupted by the crisis. There are two major threats facing Europe. One is a political crisis and the other is a military crisis. As Russia declared war and the confrontation between NATO and Russian forces over Ukraine continued, there was even a fearful prospect that another world war could break out in Europe. However, this problem was resolved naturally as concerns about the financial crisis subsided. The world has found a new growth engine through space development and Jaeon battery. The fate of the country will depend on what to do with this opportunity. Both the EU and Russia are not in a situation where they are in a state of idle warfare. Countries that can immediately benefit from the space boom are the United States, China, and Russia. Russia, which engaged in a space race with the United States during the Cold War, showed strong confidence in mining resources on the moon. There are many people who say that their technology is lagging behind as they have not been able to properly invest in basic industries due to economic sanctions, but know-how is just as important as technology. And Russia has know-how that is second to none in the space field. The EU felt the need to join hands rather than war or sanctions against Russia. However, even if there is no reason for war, Russia cannot withdraw without justification as long as it has declared war. Ultimately, under NATO arbitration, Ukrainian President Anatoly Borisov apologized for the terrorist attacks in Crimea, promised compensation to the victims' families, and issued a statement refusing to claim sovereignty over Crimea. It was not an official renunciation of Crimea, but it was a statement of recognizing Russian occupation. Ukraine surrendered. This is a great Russian victory. President Vysotsky defined this as a victory for Russia, and Ukraine and the international community did not dare to argue about it. The EU chairman, the President of Ukraine and the President of Russia met in Helsinki, Finland, to discuss and sign an agreement on withdrawal. They signed and held hands as if they were about to fight. The second was the division of the EU represented by Brexit. As fears of the financial crisis grew, the voices of Britain seeking a way to live outside the EU increased, as did Greece and Italy. However, the financial crisis did not occur. Not quite as much as Wall Street, but City of London financial institutions have also joined the speculation. The UK financial market has been shattered and funds and banks have either gone bankrupt one after another, or have been forced to work with the government. To prevent the division of the EU, they contributed their strength until after the earthquake. OTK Company will discuss future economic cooperation with the EU. The agreement between OTK Company and the EU will apply equally to all EU member states. The European Space Agency has announced plans to launch a lunar rocket in collaboration with NASA and Los Cosmos. Now, the role of the EU in space development and the industrial change brought about by JN Battery has become very important. Prime Minister Boris Kane and Conservative MPs said Britain's departure from the EU would not affect cooperation with the European Space Agency, but none of the people believed it. As a result of a recent survey, more than 75% of the respondents wished to remain in the EU. As such, the British Parliament narrowly rejected a hard Brexit, led by Prime Minister Boris Kane and the Conservatives. Some countries, including Greece and Italy, which were pushing to leave the EU amid a national debt crisis, also shut their mouths as if they had ever done so. I visited the Golden Gate Chinese branch. The staff there looked at me and applauded. Henry, who arrived first, welcomed me. We greeted warmly. You've been through a lot. Henry, too. In the meantime, he has traveled back and forth between the United States and Europe, delivering various information. I greeted the staff one by one. The eyes that looked at me were full of respect and surprise. When it was just the two of us, Henry said with a smile. After America, you became a hero in China. Everyone knows that I fought the speculative forces in the Chinese market with all my might. Thanks to that, of course, my liking for Korea soared. Considering the fact that he was once accused of being the main culprit in the US-China trade dispute, it is a feeling of outrage. The saying that there are no permanent enemies or allies in the market comes to life again. Today, the People's Bank of China lowered the announced exchange rate to 7.03 yuan to $1. There was pressure from the US and the international community, and the Chinese economy was also being damaged by the excessively overvaluing the yuan. I can say that it is at an appropriate level. I could hear from him what was happening in the financial world. The Rothschilds got out right before things changed. It was amazing to see how they changed their strategy in an instant and withdrew with minimal losses. I was truly amazed. The most difficult part of investing is stop loss. But as soon as it is decided that it is not, the position is liquidated. Should I say Rothschild? On the other hand, those who took part in the offensive did not return well. Albert Management and Schnitz Investment went bankrupt, while Redstone and IRR lost more than half their market caps. In the case of a blind fund created by Canline Group, there are rumors that the loss will reach 95%, and there are rumors that JP Morgan will apply for a bailout. The whole of Wall Street is like a portrait book, because both of you and the giant capitalists participated in this speculation. Although the exact amount of the loss has not yet been announced, it is this much. After the results are announced later, the sound of the song will resound here and there. Fortunately, Golden Gate responded well. Henry nodded his head. My brother-in-law was like that. People have to stand in line. I burst out laughing. It's something take you should say. With most of Wall Street's IBs jumping into speculation, Golden Gate waited calmly and moved against them before the change began. Carl Singer is said to have shot him in the head with his pistol in his office. I nodded. I heard it too. Albert Management has been famous for making money by any means possible. Is the end like this? It's just that it wasn't just one or two investors who took their lives. Reports of witnessing people jumping from skyscrapers in Manhattan were not boring. The public generally responded with a causal response. But whether you earn good or bad, money is just money. And the reason they died is probably just because of a failed investment. Do I need to end my life for money? Money was everything to them. Investors fighting for money must be careful not to let money become the purpose of life. Henry added jokingly. Because if I look into the market for a long time, the market also looks into me. I laughed bitterly. It was something that touched my heart. The market as always lives on hope. People watched with anticipation to see the future results of the rekindled space race and JN Battery. It is estimated that the OTK Compu, about $1 trillion through thin. It is estimated that the OTK company earned about $1 trillion through this crisis. Even this amount was not an increase in corporate value or an expected return for the future. It was money earned in cash right away. While hedge funds and private equity funds that participated in the speculation failed to repay their short selling and went bankrupt one after another, their losses were captured as OTK companies' profits. Koreans were astonished to learn that Jinhu Kong earned more than half of Korea's annual GDP in just 2 or 3 months. It was the result of robbing the entire world of speculative capital. OTK company has promoted several projects during that time. Among them, the most expensive projects are Vrbomorsk and Simangium New Town. While Vrbomorsk is still in the preparatory stage, Simangium New Town was already in progress. Previously, they had scooped up OTK company and said that they would participate, but as fears of the financial crisis deepened and the flow of funds tightened, the companies that had decided to participate began to withdraw one by one. But overnight things changed. OTK company has secured enough capital to be able to proceed alone. Even if all other companies are absent, OTK company alone will be able to build a city. Concerns about Simangium becoming a ghost town disappeared, and the prospect of being reborn as the best city in Asia unfolded. What will the world's largest companies look like and where future key industries will gather? In the meantime, companies that had been saving themselves under various excuses turned and jumped into Simangium. Disney and Universal decided to start constructing theme parks in Simangium right away, and other companies also rushed to construct factories and buildings. As the site remains surplus anyway, additional construction plans have been announced. Korea Aerospace Research Institute and Roscosmos decided to build a launch site in Simangium, while OTK company, Seosung SB CL Chemical and SSK Innovation built the world's largest JN battery production facility in Simangium, following the OTK battery production facility. An MOU was signed too. This was a golden opportunity for the Korean economy to take a leap forward. Korea is classified as the country that will most benefit from industrial change in the future, and capital has flowed in. The market effectively treated the won as a quasi-reserve currency, and the Korean financial authorities had to worry about the won's appreciation. Kang Jin, who saved the economy that Hyo Changmin ate up. This is real. If it hadn't been for the earthquake, the Korean economy would have collapsed. Looks like he's going to be a real person. I'm so glad we met after Kang Jin. If you earn that much money, give 1 million won to all the people. I thought that was crazy, but it's only 50 trillion won. Gum price for Kang Jin who. It's a godsend that Hyo Changmin didn't touch after Kang Jin. Everyone, let's not forget Your Excellency who was touched after the strong earthquake. When I think of you, your stomach hurting watching you do well after the earthquake in the cell. Your hands and feet tremble and tears come to your eyes. It's rainy. I can't even sleep. At times like this, I really think of you. Release Your Excellency Park Si-hyung. Nakyung Yun singles, let's go one more time. China's state-run media have been busy promoting the achievements of President Zhang Pinghua every day. Even within the Communist Party, voices of dissatisfaction in the past were well tolerated, and everyone praised him as a great hero who saved the Chinese nation. President Zhang Pinghua showed himself taking care of the economy, emphasizing the stability of the Chinese economy both internally and externally. I attended a business meeting and met Chinese business people. Wechen Xiao Ma Huatang and other top Chinese businessmen gathered in one place. In this place I was also able to meet Xiaomin and Yao, who founded Tenwei after a long time. They were called here because they were invested by OTK company. I have spoken to several businessmen. Read more at wuxiax.com. President Zhang Pinghua delivered a keynote speech. He started the conversation with the first verse from Charles Dickens' novel 2 Cities. The past few months have been the best and the worst for China. What followed was a warning against speculative forces. Next to the word profit is a knife. If you covet others, you will harm yourself. It has been proven that the global financial crisis is not an inevitable product of globalization, but an act caused by greedy speculative capital. If we work together, there is nothing that cannot be overcome, and if we work together with wisdom, there is nothing that cannot be achieved. Finally, he commented on the direction of the Chinese economy. There has never been a smooth road in human history, but it has not stopped humanity from moving forward. Now we are on a new path. No matter what difficulties you face, you should not blame yourself, blame others, give up your faith, or avoid responsibility. History is made by the brave. When the speech was over, the people stood up in unison and clapped. After the event, I and Zhang Pinghua had tea and chatted with the two of us. He put down his teacup and said, "One man really changed the world." I thought for a moment and then shook my head. I didn't do it alone. It wouldn't have been possible if people didn't believe it. The market is not run by 1 or 2 people. With the exception of a few who tried to profit from the crisis, everyone wanted the world economy not to collapse. In the end, it can be said that those beliefs came together to create the present situation. I remembered the news I had seen before coming. Fortunately, the protests in Hong Kong are fading. The chief executive said there would be no hard crackdown and that he would partially accept the protesters' demands. This is because the Chinese economy has found a new growth engine. As the Communist Party system and the power of President Zhang Pinghua had been consolidated again, there was no need to take a hardline stance toward Hong Kong and make it crumbly. But it is still too early to be reassured. China is a country that will do anything for its national interest. There may be some differences between each, but the United States and Russia will be the same. One country, two systems will end in 2047. At that time, it is possible for the Communist Party to directly rule Hong Kong. Promises do not end when they are made, and continuous effort is required to keep them. You have to have the strength to keep your promises. As long as I have the power of capital, China will definitely keep its promise. President Zhang Pinghua looked at me and asked, "What are you going to do now? So much has happened in such a short amount of time. The future will be busier than it is now. There are a lot of people to meet and a lot to do. But now what I want to do the most is," I said while thinking of the people I wanted to see one by one, "I have to go home." I met the CEO Lim Sumi, who came to Beijing. "Your mother is always worried. She asked me to contact her more often. I'll see you right away when I get back. I feel like I've become an illegitimate child. I have prepared what you said." She handed me a small shopping bag. "Would you like it?" President Lim Sumi confidently nodded her head. "You will definitely like it. You have eyes that see better than me, so you can trust me." I put it in my arms and then asked, "I was surprised that you were coming directly. You didn't come all the way to China because of me, did you?" "Anyway, something happened. I had to come to Beijing's new airport once due to the problem of opening a duty-free shop. Thanks to her representative, doing business in China has become much easier. In anticipation of the mass production of JN batteries, the stock price of Seosong SB hit the upper limit every day, and its market cap nearly tripled. Ceylon Hotel, a subsidiary of Seosong Group, was also on the rise due to expectations for the construction of the Semanjium Complex Resort. Chairman Jin Yong Lim, how are you? Of course. In this case, Chairman Im Jin Yong played a major role. Thanks to this, a green light was lit for future trials. The law should be fairly enforced according to the principles, but there is a discretion of the courts. It will be difficult to ignore public opinion, so there is a high possibility that the second trial will somehow find a reason for commutation and release him on probation. Well, if you get arrested again, there's nothing you can do about it. Are you going back to Korea tomorrow? Yes. President Lim Sumi smiled. I am back after a long time. A lot of things happened in Korea while the CEO was away. I could hear from her about her work in Korea during her time. When Kang Jin-hu announced his plan to mine resources on the moon and poured all his fortune into defending the global economy, many people cheered with one voice. If he fails, the Korean economy will collapse. No one wants the company they work for go bankrupt or the house price they live in plummet. Only Jin Ho-kong could save the now collapsing Korean economy. Therefore, even the conservative media supported Kang Jin-hu this time. However, not everyone wanted Kang Jin-hu to win. After the earthquake, some groups with deep ties with her took this opportunity to protest in the hope that they would collapse. During this demonstration, Pastor Jong Hoon Bang became famous. Although he called himself a pastor, he was far from religious and made a name for himself as a far-right political activist. The moon is the temple of God. Digging into a temple like that to mine resources would be something a redneck or a demon would do. It was the United States that first came up with the plan, and it was something the American company SpaceX was working on, but that didn't matter. After receiving the anointing, the Republic of Korea revolves around me. Being with me is the way to protect Korea. Instead of sporadically holding demonstrations, the Parents Association, Doctors' Mothers Volunteer Corps, and the Salvation Army gathered at a rally hosted by Pastor Jong Hoon Bang. As the three grew bigger day by day, the media also paid attention to it and YouTubers also came out to cover it. However, during the protest, a turning point took place. Hallelujah! The happiest moment of today's event is back. It's time to donate. Let's all pour out our pockets and share in the glory of God. A donation box roamed among the protesters. Pastor Jong Hoon Bang encouraged donations. It rained a lot during the last protest, so I went bankrupt. All donations are used for demonstrations, so take out a coin or even a banknote. If you do, you will go to hell. Those who didn't want to go to hell donated even the money they didn't have. As the Pat Phoenix launch approached, Pastor Zhonghoon Bang held a demonstration even at dawn. Since the early morning demonstration was illegal, it was nominally a group early morning prayer. When Pat Phoenix exploded in mid-air, everyone shouted to leave. Pastor Zhonghoon Bang exclaimed excitedly, "Everyone! Justice has triumphed. God has punished those who seek to covet the temple." The protesters also raised their arms and shed tears of emotion. "Wow! We won. Finally Jinhu Kong is ruined." However, everyone was shocked and terrified by the news of the Chang'e 8 launch that followed. "No, what is this? Who is not a pro-North Redist? Did you join hands with the Chinese Reds this time? Why didn't everyone stop that?" Pastor Zhonghoon Bang burst into anger. "Jasik Inamo is doing this trick." Fortunately, it wasn't over yet. There was no guarantee that geratinium could be found on the moon. "Let's start an all-night prayer meeting to protect the temple from today. Let's all pray together without missing a single one. Let's start with donations. Hallelujah." The protesters gathered in one place every day and put their hands together to pray. Have you ever wanted something so desperately in your life? However, Chang'e 8 returned safely to Earth carrying geratinium. When the news was announced, the people who were praying and demonstrating fell to the floor as if their legs had been loosened. Ugh! This can't be. God can't do this. Hey! Even the sky is indifferent. What is this? Does this make sense? What's the use of protesting for 100 days? Whether it rains or snows, I come out here and have a hard time. How is it that the more you protest, the more that bastard's fortune grows? Why? Does it make sense to speculate in a warm corner and make hundreds of trillions of dollars? Justice is dead in this land. Some people couldn't contain their anger and burst out crying like children, and some people went up on the podium and protested to Pastor Zhonghoon Bang. "Are you going to pray? Give me back the money you donated. Give me my 23,000 won." Confused, Pastor Bang Zhonghoon looked up at the sky and shouted, "I prayed so hard, what is this? God, don't move. If you don't talk to God, I'll die." After that, Pastor Zhonghoon Bang continued to hold protests and raise money. "We are looking for those who will jump into the OTK company and give up their lives for martyrdom. What revolution would there be without the shedding of blood? I will die first." However, the number of people gathering for the demonstration has been reduced to less than 1/10. In the end, the Parents' Union, Doctoral Mothers, Mother Volunteer Corps and the National Salvation Army, which lost their protest momentum, were voluntarily disbanded, leaving behind their long history. And Pastor Zhonghoon Bang was accused by a civic group for violating the Donation Act. The whole country was shaken by the fact that Jinhu Kong was returning to Korea. Only one person averted the financial crisis and ushered in a new era. No Korean has ever achieved such an achievement in the financial world. In the future, it will be difficult to talk about the global economy without mentioning the existence of Kong Jinhu. In the meantime, the Liberty Korea Party has always been at odds with Kong Jinhu because of the bad ties it has had since the time of former President Park Si-hyung. Anything Kong Jinhu does is helpful to the country, and even if it is in line with the party's policy, he has always shouted against it. But the results have always been disastrous. Kong Jinhu now has more than double the national budget of Korea, and now he has the key to the future industry. If there was enough money, he would become an object of envy and jealousy, but with this amount of money, I did not think anything of it. After all, former President Park Si-hyung was sentenced to prison, and Yoon Nak-young and all the leaders who raised the banner of anti-government reform also resigned. The non-captain who took over the leadership of the party decided that the confrontation with Kong Jinhu was meaningless any longer. Members of the Liberal National Party also admitted defeat and turned to holding hands. North Korea also changed its attitude in front of money. Although the North Korean system was a dead end, it was not that it was indifferent. No, on the contrary, it can be said that he has survived until now because he was quicker than anyone else. There was also talk that with the money Jinhu Kong earned over the past few months, he could buy the whole North Korea. In fact, the amount of money was enough to carry out civil works in the entire North Korea. Moreover, cooperation between Korea, China and Russia is intensifying with a focus on space development. From the perspective of North Korea in the meantime, it was a golden opportunity to seek system stability and open up. In the current situation, it is crazy to touch Jinhu Kong. Rather, it was a situation that had to open hands. When economic cooperation showed signs of failing, North Korea, which had launched missiles and provocative statements, quickly changed its attitude and praised Kang Jin-ho. The announcer who appeared on Joseon Central TV spoke in a unique way. President Kang Jin-ho gave a shocking punishment to the vicious capitalists who spit on the economy of other countries. Let go of the boat. The gossip of the US-made speculators who ran away with all their money and run away was ridiculous. The esteemed supreme leader of our republic delivered the message to President Kang Jin-ho saying, "Congratulations on the great and complete victory of our people." I woke up to the sound of someone calling. Steward said he was sorry. I have arrived in Korea. Oh yes. It seems that I fell asleep without realizing it. I'm not the type of person who sleeps a lot, but these days I feel sleepy all the time as if I'm making up for the sleep I haven't slept in. I was going to come with Henry, but there was still work to be done, so I came back first. I unbuckled my seatbelt and stretched. I felt as if I had come back from a long trip. As I was about to get off the private plane, the steward looked as if he had something to say. "Do you have anything to say?" he said cautiously to my words. "If it's not rude, may I ask for one autograph?" Of course. It is not difficult. I was happy to sign autographs and I took a picture with him. As I exited the automatic door, a dazzling light greeted me. The arrival hall was packed with so many people that there was no room to even set foot. All the domestic and foreign media outlets have gathered, and a photo line has been installed in front of it. Airport staff were busy controlling people. Was my popularity like this? I paused for a moment at the photo line to get a camera baptism. Again, the reporters held out their microphones and poured out various questions. Read more at wuxiax.com. As they answered one by one, their eyes met someone standing behind the crowd. When I shut my mouth and fixed my gaze, everyone turned around. Those who saw her knew that she had gone out of her way. A small path was made between the crowds and a woman walked in. She has a slim body and a small face that makes you think she is a model. Her long hair was tied together and she wore her trouser suit and blouse. She looks like she came out of work. I asked her, looking at her, "Did you pay your annual leave?" She smiled brightly. "No. She just got out of the way." "Aren't you going to get scolded by your sister later?" "I want to see you as soon as possible. What should I do?" I also thought that my girlfriend was the best. When we meet, she seems to have a lot of things to say, but when I see her face, I don't know what to say. I touched the box in my pocket. I went to the company and tried to do it, but somehow I thought I could do it here. I'm a little nervous because there are so many people, but I mustered up the courage and knelt down on one of her knees. Ellie asked, confused, "What are you doing now?" Instead of answering, I held out her ring to Ellie. "Will you marry me?" At my words, Ellie opened her eyes wide and she said nothing. Her brown eyes fluttered wildly, and tears seemed to flow from her large eyes at any moment. "What is it? Why are there so many people doing this? What is the answer?" "Hey, you already know." "I don't know." Ellie couldn't stand it anymore and burst into tears. "Of course yes." I put the ring on her finger. Ellie grabbed my neck with her arms and kissed me. "Can I do this while others are watching?" I thought about it for a while, but it doesn't seem to matter. I'm going to get married now anyway. People clapped and took out their phones to take pictures. Camera shutters flew non-stop from all directions. Kang Jin-ho's proposal to his lover was broadcast all over the world. The news that her world's richest man would be getting married soon showed great interest. Jin-ho Kang is really planning to get married. If it were me, I would never get married. You should enjoy her life with that money. This is real. The woman you want to meet must have lined up. You still have to get married. Do you know how easy it is to meet someone you will spend the rest of your life with? Well then, if you are a woman like that, you should definitely get married. First off, you're pretty. I'm envious TT. I'm so envious TT. By the way, you said you were getting married before. A proposal is something you do to get marriage approval. Isn't it a bit strange to propose after deciding to get married? Do you want to do it again? Don't try to understand. Because that's what a proposal is like. Just do it. The wedding is going to be great. Am I not invited? Why don't the parents' union break into the wedding hall and protest? Come to think of it, they are quiet these days. The pro-North Korean redneck Kang Jin-ho will save the Chinese economy, and she will spur the North Korean business. Isn't she supposed to do something? Protests should be fun. Now, beyond the American hero, he is a global hero. Would you like to protest? After returning home, I played without even going to work. Ellie also took a vacation and rested with me. We ate and slept together for several days without going out of the house. Ellie raised her body slightly and looked into her garden. The weather today is so nice. I don't think it's cold anymore. Now the season was in full swing. I patted my smooth back. Ellie shrugged her body as if tickled. As I tried to hug her, Ellie shook her head. The time is up. Get ready quickly. We got dressed and went out to the living room. Taekyu was sitting on the sofa in his training clothes as usual. Your sister just left. Before he could finish speaking, the doorbell rang. It's right next door. Hyunju Nuna came in wearing comfortable clothes. Henry and Gunny were together. And after waiting a while, her mother also came. A meal was prepared on the table. As I was doing this, I realized once again that I had returned home. It's also nice to have a place to return to. After I left for a long time, the staff welcomed me warmly. Everyone's faces were full of pride. But apart from that, it looks like his face has been cut in half. There have been a lot of hardships. Senior Sanjiop shook her head and said, "Would you mind telling me in advance?" Team leader Jong Ki-hong also said something. This time I was surprised to learn that the company was really going out of business. While I was away, the OTK company made an unprecedented profit in history. Under the direction of Senior Sang Yeep, the employees made a stop-loss and pursued and thoroughly punished those who tried to exit the market. For the time being, no one will even dare to speculate. Checking the balance, I stuck out my tongue. Wouldn't it make a huge mountain if you pulled it out for $100 and stacked it up? Taekyu asked. How are you going to spend all this money? We need to keep investing in the future. This money will become the basis for leading the industry in the future. What are some things you can do if you have a lot of money? Due to the limitations of funds, companies have to choose and focus, receive external investment or borrow. Sometimes the company goes bankrupt while rushing into a new industry or expanding its business. But we didn't have to worry about that. As the funds were raised, the pace of projects that had been delayed until now was ignited. The current global economy is nothing but a revival of expectations. There are countless examples of stock prices rising due to anticipation and investment money rushing into bankruptcy. In the past, with the advent of the internet, everyone flocked to buy stocks, but the result was the dot-com bubble. To prevent that from happening, you need to show performance within a few years. I mentioned that JN battery mass production would start, but the amount that can be produced right now is very small. After that, if the cost goes down and the volume increases, it will gradually spread to other fields, including electric vehicles. Still, thanks to JN battery, many things that were not possible due to the limitations of batteries were possible. It will be used first in high-tech fields such as aerospace, and medicine. Space C's market cap soared despite Fat Phoenix's explosion. He has already surpassed Nikola in his prime. Among many private space companies, the reason Space C receives the most attention is because it is cooperating with the OTK company. He also created a joint venture, Phoenix Wing, to make electric airplanes. Alan Eberhardt hastily developed an electric plane along with the launch of the Fat Phoenix. I spoke to Daryl Sagan, CEO of Carlos. The factory construction is proceeding smoothly. Governments around the world are also actively cooperating. Come to think of it, Korea is also said to be lifting regulations on autonomous driving this time. After going through this, everyone must have realized that if they don't change, they will be called. Industrial change is accelerating with the development of space and the advent of JN batteries. There was no more time to hesitate. There are still controversies in the political circles and opposition from the transportation industry, but if it is the right direction, we must move forward without wavering. If JN batteries are used for electric vehicles, internal combustion locomotives can only be seen in museums. To be honest, when I received the investment from OTK company, I didn't think it would turn out this well. Do you remember my answer when I asked what Keras does? Daryl Sagan said with a smile. Make a better future. It will be so. I drew a picture of the future. A world where unmanned electric vehicles and airplanes powered by TWR and equipped with JN batteries travel on roads and in the sky, where you can comfortably enjoy various contents and enjoy virtual reality games. All of these things will never be impossible. Success, as always, attracts people like a magnet. Starting with politicians and businessmen, celebrities, sports associations, civic groups, etc., people who did not know who they were lined up to meet. If I met all these people, even 10 bodies would not be enough. There were endless requests for investment or donations here and there. I don't know why everyone is so interested in other people's money. First, we prioritize the people we need to meet first, Yuri said cautiously. I was debating whether to say it or not, but I feel like I should tell you. What's going on? I was surprised to hear Yuri's words. Did you say you want to see me? Yes. I'm going to America next month. Okay. So, do we really need to meet? Take-Yu, who was listening to the story next to him, said quickly. Of course we should meet. I can't meet this. Why? It sounds like fun. Don't use me for your fun. I sat at the coffee shop on the second floor of the Salon Hotel and waited. After a while, a woman walked in. She is tall and slender, has a small face, big eyes, white skin and long straight hair. His appearance was attractive enough to attract the attention of men around him at least once. She stood in front of me and greeted me. Long time no see. How are you? Huh. She sat across from her. It doesn't look much different from the last time I saw it. Who would think of this as a baby's mother? We had coffee. You did a great job again. When you turn on the news, your face comes out and everyone wants to meet you. It's hard to believe that we were dating once. The crisis that had colored the whole world with fear was overcome, and new opportunities opened up. But not everyone was able to seize the opportunity. Meanwhile, many companies failed to survive the crisis and collapsed. GH Group fell into a workout because it was unable to pay off its repayments. Even refining, the mainstay of the group, was separated from its affiliates, and its size has shrunk to the point that it is difficult to call it a chaebol group anymore. Did you hear from Yuri? Huh. Divorced. I don't know if it has anything to do with the group's collapse, but Sienna divorced Go Junhyung. I didn't have to ask why. In a world where 1 in 3 married couples get divorced, it's not uncommon. In general, it is easy to misunderstand that if you divorced a chaebol family, you would have received a huge amount of alimony. However, this also varies from case to case. First of all, the marriage period was not long, and even if they were children of a chaebol family, they were all the property of their parents, so there is not much property in their own name. However, most of them must have been gifted before marriage. Still, ordinary people would have received as alimony money that they would never have touched even if they had earned in their lifetime. Are you getting married? Huh. Now I really have to. It should have been earlier, but it was too late. Sana was fiddling with her cup of coffee with her finger, and she spoke her words as if determined. If I hadn't said goodbye. Were we married? Well, I remembered the first time I met Sienna. It was as vivid as yesterday, but it felt distant, as if decades had passed. Time has passed, and the past cannot be turned back. No matter how many times you think about it, the result is the same. We each wanted different things. All she wanted was success. What did I want? No one is good and no one is wrong. Maybe they just weren't related. I asked over coffee. What are you going to do now? I want to go to America to study. I want to study more. Good idea. We didn't say anything for a while. After a while, Sienna looked straight at me and said, I know that. You are the biggest misfortune in my life. Anyone I meet in the future will be compared to you. I smiled bitterly. When you think about what you don't have, there is no end to it. Sana is still young and pretty. And she has many more days to come. She wishes those days she hadn't lived in regrets. She suddenly thought that she wanted her to be happy. I thought she knew why she wanted to see me. So she got up first. Ellie is waiting, so I'll just get up. Hi. She nodded her head slightly. Hi. She will know that this will be her last meeting. If there is no regret, there is no reason to meet, and if there is even a slight regret, we should not meet. Even more. I walked out. A car was waiting at the entrance of the hotel. And there was a man standing in front of him. She looked at me and waved her hand. It is not the trouser suit she usually wears, but a sky blue dress and sneakers. Under the sunlight, Ellie gave a refreshing smile. Did you talk well? I nodded. Yes. I will never see you again. Why? Because that would be good for Sienna. Instead of asking why, Ellie said, as expected, Jinhoo has a warm heart. We got into the car. Where shall we go now? Ellie took my hand and said, if you two are together, anywhere is fine. Las Vegas E3 Game Show. OTK Games attended this game show for the first time since moving its headquarters to Detroit. As Lost Fantasy Online is gaining popularity in North America, reporters and gamers showed great interest. Shigeru Ichikawa, president of OTK Games, appeared in person and announced the progress of Vermorpk development along with the Lost Fantasy Online update. We are working with OTK Company, the parent company, to build the world's largest data center, continue to cooperate with Seosung Electronics in the hardware field, and are also promoting the connection with SpaceLink, a satellite internet promoted by SpaceC. Most of it is a rehash of previously announced content, and there is nothing special about it. However, there is a difference from before. That is, OTK Company, the parent company, has the technology and capital to implement all these plans. The vice president said that he would spare no effort in developing the next game, drawing support from gamers and developers. Just as Karis completely changed the automobile industry after the release of the self-driving electric vehicle, it was clear that if OTK Games released a Vermorpk, it would change the game industry. There were also competitions to attract data centers in each country. Surprisingly, Korea also intervened here. In the past, if it was Kang Jin-hoo's job, the Liberal People's Party, which had been opposed to it, proposed the bill earlier than the New Politics Party. We need to attract data centers to Korea. We will eliminate the practice of law enforcement agencies requesting personal information at will and enact relevant laws. OTK Company's attraction of the data center will be a new opportunity for Korea to become a data powerhouse. Previously, if it was the world's largest company, everyone picked Saudi Arabia's Aramco. But now no one disputed that OTK Company took the place. Experts evaluated that the market cap of OTK Company is larger than that of Aramco and that it is larger than that of the largest U.S. companies, NPL and Microsoft combined. The future growth prospects were even brighter. Electric vehicles, batteries, aviation, space, games, construction, pornography, etc. It was truly surprising that the shareholders of such a giant corporation were not the state or a large number of investors, but only 3 people. Interestingly, while Jin-hoo Kang and Hyun-joo are well known, little is known about the identity of Tae-kyu, as it is said that the role of the deputy representative was also important in this case. Many people were curious about his identity. A cafe in Cheongdam-dong. People's eyes continued to turn to one table. A woman with a small body and rabbit-like eyes. On either side of them sat a woman with a sophisticated look like a celebrity and a lively white woman with short hair. And there was a man with black horn-rimmed glasses and a gray sweatshirt sitting with him. Who would think of him as a person who has hundreds of trillions of assets and leads the OTK Company along with Kang Jin-hoo? It's been a long time since we've met, so Tae-kyu drank juice and talked about things that had been delayed. The 3 women listened to him every word. Jin-hoo was worried, so I put my hand on her shoulder and said, "It's Jin-hoo. This is something we all have to risk. World economy. No, the fate of the world is in our hands." For some reason, Kang Jin-hoo's role was reduced, while Oh Tae-kyu's performance was greatly emphasized. However, the 3 women could not help but admire the truth. Right. Oh, that's great. Awesome, brother. It was a great honor to be able to meet in person and hear the story of the person who made a tremendous achievement that will forever be recorded in the history of the world economy. Annika said, looking at Tae-kyu with envy. Thanks to you, Norway was able to survive. Norway is a member of NATO and, although not a member of the EU, has paid EU contributions and traded with the single market. If the EU were torn apart and a war broke out in Ukraine, sparks would have ignited in Norway as well. Both said. Thanks to you, the CL Group also got through the crisis. In addition, CL Chemical, whose father is her father, is accelerating the production of JN batteries following Seosung SB. Tae-kyu drank fresh fruit juice and remembered what had happened a long time ago. It is a fact that many people do not know, but he was the one who shook the back of Kang Jin-hoo, who had no idea about investment or business. If it wasn't for Oh Tae-kyu, the Kang Jin-hoo today wouldn't exist. And if it wasn't for Jin-hoo, I wouldn't be where I am today. Thanks to him, he has the money to do whatever he wants to do. Tae-kyu was planning how to spend that much money. He said, he supports game development for OTK Games and other game companies, and takes over animation studios and creates animations that he wants to make. But I have a lot of work to do. Deokjil was also on a global scale. Said Annika. I think it would be fun to write a book like this later. Oh yes. Tae-kyu thought about the past. In retrospect, each and everything that Jin-hoo Kang and I did together was a series of amazing things that could turn the world upside down. Min Ha-young said quickly. Well, then I'll draw it as a webtoon. Taekyo thought with his arms crossed. If there is nothing to do later, shall we write a novel? After Semanjium was classified into administrative districts, the official name was decided as Semanjium Special Self-Governing City, but many people called it OTK City. A convention for foreign investment was held here. In the presence of President Ha Chong-min, opposition politicians and domestic businessmen, working-level officials from abroad came in. What is unusual is that not only the executives came, but the leaders of Asia flocked like clouds. Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan and so on. Anyone who sees it would think that the Asian summit was held. Surprisingly, the Japanese leader was also there. Prime Minister Okazaki reached out to me. Nice to meet you, Seo Kong Jin-hu. I grabbed that hand. Thank you for coming, Prime Minister. Prime Minister Okazaki said with a smile. I hope that economic cooperation between Japan and Korea will continue in the future, centering on Semanjium. Korea, China and Russia have formed a single economic bloc centered on space development and JN battery, with Central Asian countries at the top and ASEAN countries at the bottom. But Japan is missing here. Just don't let your body heat up. I nodded willingly. Of course. Korea and Japan are important economic partners that are indispensable to each other. OTK Company is also looking forward to cooperation with Japan. Prime Minister Okazaki's expression brightened at my words. I would like to ask you to visit Japan sometime. I'll have to. Of course, Prime Minister. Still, I was thinking of going to Japan to start negotiating the reparations Japan should pay to North Korea. Japan's apology for its war crimes and compensation for damages is an issue that needs to be resolved most urgently. After the successful investment briefing session, President Ha Chong-min and other leaders toured the Semanjium construction site in person. Entrepreneurs followed suit. The appearance of Semanjium has changed a lot from before. The desert-like appearance of only blowing sand and dust disappeared, and foundation construction was in full swing in all directions. The regulations were lifted and various advanced construction techniques were also mobilized. It looks like this is the Seosung Electronics Semiconductor Factory. At President Ha Chong-min's words, Chairman Im Jin-yong quickly spread his fingers and proudly said, "With the money to build one of these buildings, we can build 5 Incheon airports." 5. Okay. Seeing him appealing for his investment so hard, he doesn't want to be arrested again. I looked around. This will be our new home in the future. OTK Company's headquarters are also moving, and the house is also moving here. I have already commissioned a kit to design the house. I checked the time and said, "I'm sorry, but I'll go first." Afterwards, dinner was scheduled, so everyone looked surprised when I heard that I was going first. President Ha Chong-min asked, "What are you going for already?" "I have a very important appointment." At the airport, Ellie had arrived first. We all got on the private plane together. The destination is Hong Kong. The reason for going is to see Eli's parents. After I met him first and greeted him, I decided to hold a formal meeting in Korea. "You're busy with work, aren't you in a hurry?" My older sister told me that the wedding preparations were overkill, so I had to hurry. "If you get busier in the future, you'll be busy and you won't be idle. If you procrastinate, there will be no end to it, so you should do it when you can. And I wanted to get married as soon as possible. It's nice to have someone to be on my side anytime. Who are Ellie's parents?" "It's just like any other parent. She's probably the only daughter, so she's always worried. When she found out that I was meeting Jin-hu, she was surprised. Because she never thought that my girlfriend would be the richest man in the world." "When did I tell you?" "At first I just said that I was dating a Korean businessman, but I found out about her after an article went out after shooting a Bester commercial." "You must have been really surprised." After arriving at the airport, we headed to our hotel in Central. Arriving at the dining room first and sitting down, Ellie smiled at me. "Why are you so nervous?" I wiped the sweat from my palms with a handkerchief. "Does it look like that too?" "I don't think I was this nervous when I met President Zhang Pinghua or President Vysotsky." Ellie smiled and said, "No worries. You will definitely like Jin-ho." "I wish I did." "What will Ellie's parents think of me?" "Ellie is her only daughter. And I took such a precious daughter to Korea, and now she wants to marry her." From her father's point of view, as soon as she saw it, she said, "Hey, Wouldn't it be great to shout out that my daughter will never give it to me? Ellie patted my hair with her fingers. As she waits impatiently, a middle-aged man with the dignity of a Hong Kong noir movie star and a white middle-aged woman with blonde hair and a graceful appearance come in. Looking at the two of them, I think I can see where Eli's beauty came from. After meeting her parents after a long time, Ellie greeted her with a hug. She then introduced me. This is Jinhu. Do you all know? This is my father and mother. I bowed my head and said hello. Nice to meet you. This is Jinhu Kong. The middle-aged woman spoke in slightly slurred Korean. Nice to meet you. This is Ellie's mother, Michelle Ilya. But the middle-aged man kept her mouth shut and stared at me for a moment. When Ellie's mother stabbed her in the side with her elbow, he opened her mouth as if he couldn't help it. My name is Mark Kim. After saying goodbye, we sat down. Eli's father looked at me with a disapproving expression. There was an awkward atmosphere. It was Eli's mother who spoke up first. She said she was shocked when she saw Ellie and her article that she was dating Mr. Jinho. I hope the two of you will even get married. The airport proposal this time was great. Oh, thank you. Ellie's mother told her husband. Tell me too. What do I have to say? Said Ellie. Does your dad have any questions about the man who will marry her daughter? Then Eli's father coughed for nothing and opened her mouth. I heard he's good at investing. Yes. Is the company doing well? Yes. It seems to be going well. Have you prepared a house to live in? Yes. Ellie pouted her lips and said, What do you ask the richest man in the world like that? Wow. Ellie's mother laughed and said. Saying this, she has been watching her articles since Ellie found out that she was dating Jinhu. How much she cheered her this time too. At that, Eli's father was perplexed. No, when did I say that? We respect her daughter's choice. All I want is for Ellie to be happy. With money you can buy nice clothes, a car, a nice house, good food, etc., and you can do what you want to do. As freedom of food, clothing and shelter and time are directly related to happiness, it is not a lie that money can buy happiness. But just because you have an infinite amount of money doesn't necessarily make you happy. No matter how much money you have, what's the use if you're sick and can't be with the person you love? I said frankly. I think the biggest achievement I got from investing was not a lot of money but meeting Ellie. Ellie looked at her parents and said, I am also the happiest when I am with Jinhu. Don't worry, we'll live well. At those words, Eli's father's expression softened. Well then. Ellie's mother squinted her eyes. If the two of us really love each other, we can all agree. We held each other's hands under the table. While the wedding preparations were in full swing, a visitor came from England. He said, looking at me. I'm not surprised. I nodded. Because I thought you would come. Long blonde hair as if made by spun yarn from gold, and pure white skin as if she had never seen the sun. And blue eyes like sapphires. It still has an unrealistic appearance that doesn't seem to exist in the world. However, unlike her doll-like appearance before, she can now read some emotions from her eyes and facial expressions. Not long ago they had been fighting each other for everything, but she didn't feel any resentment or hostility. And it was the same with me. He said, looking at me. You won. You made the impossible possible and made dreams come true. To be honest, all I can say is that it's amazing. I asked her. I have one question for you. What? She smiled as if she could answer. Do you think I exploded? Or not? She brought up another topic. It is true that we tried to take advantage of the crisis, but the financial crisis was built up by human greed. Even if it was blocked this time, wouldn't the same thing happen later? Maybe there will be a bigger crisis in the future. In the capitalist system, booms and recessions are inevitable. At the end of a boom there is a recession, and at the end of a recession there is a boom. But this time the bubble burst, and instead of a recession a bigger boom entered. As she said, what will be the consequences of this? Then won't someone else solve it somehow? You don't have to worry about things that haven't happened yet. She then asked. From now on, all companies and countries will be looking for your money and technology. Do you think you can keep it all until the end? Capital that can move the world and technology that can change the world cannot be monopolized by individuals or companies forever. Even if we exclusively produce JN batteries now, other companies will find ways to copy or circumvent patents later. Maybe we can make better batteries based on JN battery technology. You have to keep running in order not to fall behind those who chase you. That's how the history of mankind advances, by competing with each other. I'll try to keep it, but if I can't, I have to let it go. General Electric, Westinghouse, Standard Oil, Carnegie Steel, MS, Empel, etc. These companies have changed the world. However, some companies went bankrupt and disappeared, some were forcibly spun off, some survived, and some are still doing well, competing for the top US market cap. Even if a person dies one day, a company cannot last for 1,000 or 10,000 years. And the same goes for swearing. Neither the OTK company nor the Rothschilds are forever. What matters is how people remember and how they affect the world. All I want is just that. You too. This was the gap between her and I. And the gap will never close. She closed her eyes slightly and opened them. Don't think this is the end. Because I haven't given up yet. OTK company and you. I smiled bitterly. Grace Rothschild stood up and said, "Congratulations on your marriage." I bowed my head slightly. Congratulatory money is discouraged. My marriage garnered worldwide attention. China and Britain claimed each other that Eli was a citizen of her own country. Seems like he wants to make a kite with OTK company somehow. Hong Kong is the most welcoming of this marriage. Hong Kongers were relieved to hear that the richest man in the world, which even China could not afford, would marry a Hong Kong native. But as the wedding approached, I was enveloped in strange anxiety. His expression darkened and his appetite gradually disappeared. Taekyu put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Calm down, nigga. Why all of a sudden? Aren't you supposed to run away before the wedding?" "Oh no, it's not." "Then what?" "That's what I saw." "What example?" "The fact that the CEO of OTK company is marrying Rothschild." Taekyu crossed his arms at my words and said, "Well, maybe someone will marry a Rothschild later?" "It is, but what if that's me?" "Even if they love each other and get married, there are times in life that they get divorced. Divorce is not uncommon in today's world, but no one gets married with the intention of getting a divorce in the first place. If this is her destiny, she's doing the wrong thing to Ellie. Should I hope that foreknowledge is wrong? It should be. Aren't you going to ask for a divorce with Ellie later?" "Of course. Absolutely not." Taekyu, who was nodding his head as if he was satisfied with my answer, said suddenly as if he had remembered something. But she could be asking Ellie to divorce you." The wedding venue was the Salon Hotel Wedding Hall. If you want to invite all those who want to attend, you have to arrange the schedule at least a few months in advance, just like Hyun Jununa did. To make it bigger, I thought it would grow without limit, so I tried to make it smaller by inviting only family and acquaintances, but despite that, there were hundreds of guests. I went head-to-head with Ellie, selected attendees and sent out wedding invitations. To be fair, all politicians were excluded. A few days before her wedding, Ellie's family and relatives from abroad arrived in Korea. Ellie's parents came from Hong Kong with their grandmother, and Ellie's maternal grandfather and grandmother from Cornwall, England, also visited Korea. Ellie introduced me. "Her grandfather is British and her grandmother is French," she said. The white old man with a shaggy white beard grabbed my hand and chuckled. "Oh my gosh. After Kong Jin, whom she had only heard of, her granddaughter's son-in-law. It's the most amazing thing she's ever been through in her life." And there was a beauty with her blonde hair and brown eyes. He looked 2 or 3 years younger than Ellie. She looked at her Ellie and said with her broad smile, "Congratulations on your wedding, Ellie." "Thanks, Marie." Ellie introduced her to me. "It's her sister Marie. To be exact, her grandmother's younger brother's daughter." I did some calculations. "Is the village number 6 villages?" she said as he shook hands with me. "Good morning. I am Marie Rothschild." "Rothschild?" Ellie said. "Yes. I would say Rothschild in English." I was surprised. "Rothschild?" Ellie nodded her head. "Why are you so surprised?" "Come on, wait a minute. Then Ellie's grandmother's last name is Rothschild." "So you mean Rothschild?" "Yes. She got married and turned into Ilya, but yo." As I blanked out in shock, Ellie asked, tilting her head, "Is this so surprising? Rothschild surnames aren't common in Europe, but they're not that rare either." I burst out laughing involuntarily. "Haha." Ellie asked curiously, "Why are you laughing?" "It's nothing." Ellie was a Rothschild. It would have been such a simple matter. Also, Yeji seems to be right. The day before the wedding, I spoke to President Ronald. Fed Chairman Robert McClay and the 3 Federal Reserve Board members have resigned. There will be an announcement tomorrow. I see. With the financial crisis resolved, Ronald's approval ratings soared again. Even within the Democratic Party, there was talk of no need for re-election. Today must be the happiest day of my life. The wedding is tomorrow. Then he said as if waiting. That's exactly what I'm saying. Or have you heard something similar? Was this original American humor? When will you come to America? I will stop by for my honeymoon. We talk about pushing each other a lot, but let's have a drink when we come. Okay. On the day of the wedding, President Sumi Lim rolled up her arms and gave instructions to her staff, and her mother, dressed in her hanbok, thanked everyone who came. Her college friends Kyung Il and Min Young also came along. Congratulations. Now he is a married man. Kyung Il looked at me with envy. Envy. I'm so jealous. I'm more envious of getting married than having a lot of money. I want to marry a woman like that. Kyung Il, who had said so, saw Marie Rothschild and her eyes widened. Ugh. Who is that girl? Can't you introduce me? On my behalf, Min Young took Kyung Il along. Don't be silly, let's go inside. It was officiated by President Warren Boat. He greeted the guests in clumsy Korean. When I was investing in stocks with Sanjiop Sr. in a university club, I never imagined that the wise man of Edens would take care of my wedding ceremony. I entered the dining room first. After a while, Ellie came in with her father. Ellie wore an off-the-shoulder wedding dress that revealed her shoulders and clavicle. Her pure white dress emphasized her slender waist, and it was a style that became richer as it went down. Her hair was pulled up to reveal her pretty ears and slender nape, her brown hair adorned with veil. I saw it in the bridal waiting room earlier, but it is surprisingly beautiful. It was as if a light was radiating from her body. I am marrying a woman like this. I held out her hand to Ellie as she walked by. And Ellie took my hand. After the wedding is over. We were at a resort in the Seychelles in the Indian Ocean. After taking a 3-day break here without thinking, I will go to Europe, visit Germany, Switzerland, France, Spain, the UK, and then go to the United States. First of all, it's a honeymoon, but what happens is that each country you visit is scheduled to meet with the leaders. Still, you should tour the tourist spots and take pictures. Ellie said she was tired. A wedding is usually not difficult. I don't think I'll ever do it twice. I think so. Just because we got married, nothing changed right away. We have been living together for a long time and we will continue to live together in the future. After we had dinner, we walked along the beach at sunset. Read more at wuxiax.com. It's beautiful. Right? Even now, even when we first met, you are still beautiful. Ellie stopped her steps and said, Now tell me, what have you been hiding all this time? I asked confused. But do you have a lot of spots to hide? Do you know how hard it was to pretend not to know? Is that what it was? Ellie burst out laughing. Because Jinhoo is not good at lying. Well, it's been a while since we've been together, but it would be weird not to notice. After a moment's hesitation, Ellie said, Good. I will tell you my secret first so that Jinhoo can talk about it. I was surprised. Does Ellie have any secrets? Everyone has secrets. What secret? Don't be surprised. Wait. I will prepare my heart. I took a deep breath. Now tell me. Ellie said as if waiting. This is Yenling. What is it? It's my name. Yes. Hong Kong people have 2 names. Due to the nature of both Chinese and British influences, Hong Kongers use both Chinese characters and English names. Ellie wrote her name in Chinese characters on a piece of paper. Swallow is a herald-sounding jade in a kite. How is it? I tried pronouncing another name of Ellie I had just discovered a few times. Yenling. It's a pretty name. Ellie looked at me in the face and said, Now tell me the secret of Jinhoo. I met her eyes. She will be with me for the rest of her life and will inherit all my fortunes after I die. How would you like to start this long story? I spoke like I did to my best friend long ago. The first time I saw it was in the military. Complete Investors Who See the Future, Gaiden 1. Idolmaker 99, 1. Friday night 11 p.m. I sat in the living room with Take-You, ate pizza and watched TV. Take-You immediately turned on the TV. At the start of the program, Ellie came home. What do you see? Idolmaker 99 is a program that selects idols. Out of 99 people, 11 people are selected through competition and debuted as idols. Ellie nodded her head. You know what it is. You were choosing male idols, right? Last season was a male idol, this season is a female idol. Costs a lot of money to raise an idol. From hundreds of millions to tens of billions. But what if it fails after debuting? That risk must be borne by the company. Therefore, a program to select idols appeared. From the perspective of agency, investment risk can be reduced, and from the perspective of broadcasting company, it can secure viewers and earn profits from production. And viewers can feel the emotion of making and raising idols with their own hands. Is it some sort of Arca effect? It would be similar. The Arca effect means that consumers have a greater affinity for the product they put their time and effort into. Probably, I will have a little more affection for the idols I personally choose than for the idols launched by the agency. As such, Idol Maker 99 was so popular that it was already in its 5th season. And today is the last broadcast day to select the debut group. Ellie, who sat next to her, rolled her eyes slightly. Why does Jinhoo like female idols so much? I quickly shook my head. No. I'm just watching Take You because he likes it. Then don't you like it? What? If I had to choose between the two, would it be closer to the one I liked? In a nutshell, there is no man in the world who hates female idols. In my eyes, Ellie looks much younger and cuter. Shit. Lies. Even though he said this, the expression of liking was evident on his face. No matter how pretty a female idol is, would it be just a fish and chips fairy? Take You said, pointing to the TV. She's Lena. Isn't she cute? He is a little short in stature, but he has large eyes with a compact face. Feels more cute than pretty. She seems to resemble Min Ha-young a bit. I also sent a text vote earlier. I asked Take You. What about Pure Girls? Pure Girls is Pure Girls. Shouldn't I train other juniors? The vice president of OTK company is working hard for the development of Korean entertainment. I thought for a moment and then asked. Is Rena a magical girl? Take You blinked his eyes at my question. What's crazy? Ellie also looked at me with pitiful eyes. I quickly shook my head. Don't get me wrong. It was a question tailored to the level of Take You. Something is embarrassing, send a text vote quickly. At Take You's urging, Ellie and I sent a text message worth 101. And the voting is finally over. The rankings were announced from the 3rd place. Anyway, there was not much tension as the outlines of the top ranks had already been revealed to some extent through past voting. Ellie asked. It's the same with debuting in 1st or 11th, isn't it meaningless to compete for rankings within it? Take You shook her head and explained. The 1st place is the center and main vocalist. The higher the rank, the bigger the weight in the group, so it's better if it's high. Oh, I see. In any case, 1st and 11th ranks are 10 steps different, but they debut with the same team. On the other hand, the 11th and 12th places are only a marginal difference, but that will change their fate. Also, as the difference in votes got closer to the bottom, there was a lot of tension and excitement about who would be chosen. Each time their names were called, the trainees burst into tears of joy. So all 10 people were selected and the 1st place was also revealed. And now, only the last 11th member was ahead. The host called the 3 girls forward. In 11th, 12th, and 13th places, only one of them can debut. Fortunately, Lena was among them. Isn't that what it's like to fall? Taeyong said confidently. Isn't that what it's like to fall? Taeyong said confidently. I can't. The camera closes up the facial expressions of the 3 girls, and the host opens his mouth. The last 11th member. In the midst of tension and silence, the host shouted. It's a finite light. Applause and cheers erupted from the TV and Take You shouted while grabbing his head. No. Whether they belonged to the 11 or not, everyone wept, rejoiced and congratulated them. They will be active worldwide as a project group under the support of GJ Media for the next 2 years. Take You still had a look on his face that couldn't escape the shock. Then he abruptly got up and shouted. This is manipulation. Huh. Take You clasped my shoulders with his 2 hands and shouted. Does it make sense that Lena wasn't included in her debut group? What's the point? Lena is falling. This is impossible. But it actually happened. So it doesn't make sense. Taeyong said firmly. It's clear that these guys were squirming. I said absurdly. No, what idol selection program are you manipulating? When does that make sense? What's nonsense? The agency may have manipulated it for money. There would have been a push, but I don't think they rigged the vote. Idolmaker has 99 performers. It is impossible to distribute the same amount to these 99 people in every episode. The more popular they were, and the more they were trainees from a large agency, the more focused they would have been, and this would have worked to an advantage in the voting. Even in elections, candidates who are nominated by major political parties are more advantageous than independents. No. This is obviously a vote rigging. Somehow I've been saying something a bit strange since a long time ago. This isn't just Lena's problem. Do you know that I'm so angry that Lena was dropped from her debut group? Isn't that what it was? This is a job scam. Huh. Why is there a job scam here? Taeyong said firmly. I did my best because I was told that if I worked hard and was selected I would make my debut, but I found out that the debut group had been decided? How is this different from receiving a job application form and interviewing a public company and selecting an executive's son? Well, I hear it and it makes sense. To others they may be trainees who do not know their names or faces, but everyone who appeared on the program must have risked their lives to compete for a chance to debut. But what if the debut group was decided from the beginning? So what if you couldn't get into it no matter how hard you tried? Taekyu crossed his arms and said, I will surely uncover the truth. Jeong Han-soo graduated from the Department of Mathematics at Hankook University and joined the Korean branch of Golden Gate. As a financial engineer, he analyzed and processed economic and financial data to create financial products or create automated trading programs. Unlike ETFs, which contain stocks according to weight such as funds, derivatives such as ELS and DLS require advanced design. Whether interest rates rise or fall, the exchange rate plunges sharply, or the underlying asset price rises or falls, a manager should never take a loss. In fact, mismanagement of options or derivatives often results in managers suffering huge losses and going bankrupt. As most advanced financial techniques are based on financial engineering, he was the best talent in the financial sector. After work, Jeong Han-soo headed to the OTK company building. In his conference room, there were not only employees working on the same team as him, but also employees of the OTK company. The total number is 10. The reason he gathered like this was because he was called by the vice president of OTK company. What did you call me for? Have you ever heard of anything? It's the first time I've seen the vice president so close. They all looked curious about what they were called. Moments later, a young man in a gray sweatshirt, 3-striped slippers and horn-rimmed glasses appeared in front of them. He looks like an ordinary beast that you would find in a local PC room, but no one looked at his appearance and ignored him. Because he is the second richest man in the world and vice president of OTK company. Hello. Nice to meet you. My name is Taekyu. After saying goodbye, Taekyu looked around them and said, From now on we will be doing something very important in secret. It has nothing to do with work and you can think of it as a kind of side job. I will pay the expenses for this at my own expense. If you are busy or not interested you can get up now. Naturally no one stood up. The best financial engineers in Korea are gathered here. And the deputy head of OTK company is trying to do something until he robs him of his own money. He swallowed all saliva. Jeong Han-soo felt his fingertips tremble. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to do something that will shake up the global financial market? While everyone held their breath, Taekyu spoke as if declaring, From now on what we have to do is to uncover the vote manipulation of Idolmaker 99. Based on the data released so far, we need to find evidence that there was a manipulation in the ranking. There was a long silence for a while at the completely unexpected remarks. Then Taekyu asked, rubbing his eyes, Don't you know Idolmaker 99? The intensity of work in the financial sector is beyond imagination. When I get home I fall down and I'm busy so I don't have time to take care of entertainment. Still, it's a very popular program, so even though I didn't see it in person, most people knew about it by hearing about it. Jeong Han-soo raised his hand carefully and asked, Are you saying the program was rigged? Taekyu said confidently, Yeah. These guys were very open-minded. Are you saying you pushed certain trainees? Even if it is a fair competition, there are many ways to push a particular trainee. The editing is good, the easy mission is given, the center is entrusted to the group, the judges give praise, etc. This issue has long been controversial. However, making the program is at the discretion of the producers. They could complain about it, but they could not impose sanctions. No. The vote was rigged. Is there any reason? The reason is that Lena was eliminated. It is impossible for Lena to be ranked 13th. What the hell is this? So the conclusion of this story is, she's saying that the trainee she's pushing fell off. Taekuo said firmly. If you don't believe me, you can leave. But those who believe in her Lena's potential and wish her Lena debut, please follow me. No, so who the hell is Lena? Is she the only one who doesn't know? When you say, Lena, why is the inverse ETF all of a sudden? Is it because of your mood? Everyone looked shocked, but no one got up from their seats. It was also because it was a good opportunity to make a mark on the vice president of OTK company. Korea's top financiers all at once entered the analysis of the Idol Maker 99 voting results. In general, the reaction was negative. One. What kind of idol selection program is there? A manipulation. This is absurd. GJ Media isn't a hole-in-the-wall store. It's a large company that dominates the domestic entertainment industry. Are you upset that the trainee you support was eliminated? I think you're just like that because you're bored. Jung Han-soo felt the same way. Does it make sense that the vote was rigged? As far as GJ Media is concerned, any trainee you want can debut. There is no need to put such an unreasonable number in a program that the entire nation is watching. I thought for a while. Within 30 minutes of starting the analysis, everyone noticed something strange. What is this? Why do constant constants keep appearing? The number 7473 keeps repeating itself. It's not an arithmetic sequence, and why? Wait. How many votes did you get this season? 18,683,511 votes. Asterisk 7473 is 0.04% of 18,683,511. That's right. That seems to be a constant. Why the hell did this happen? Is this a coincidence? Jung Han-soo was surprised. What? Was this really a manipulation? Exodus 1. Idol Maker 99 2. Arguing for fairness in the survival contest program is not a thing of the past. There have been rumors that if the judges push the trainees of a specific agency, or if you give money to the PD, you can be selected. So the solution chosen by the Idol Maker was to vote directly by the viewers, not the judges. In other words, viewers become producers who select idol members. This method was well received. And Idol Maker recorded an all-time hit in the history of survival contest programs and continued until season 5, and programs that copied it were created one after another. Of course, there may be a push for certain trainees in the process, but everyone thought that the voting itself would have been fair anyway. However, it was quite unexpected that the voting results were falsified. Jong-soo presented a hypothesis. Isn't this supposed to have been ranked from the beginning? The vote rate was determined for each trainee, and the total votes divided by 0.04 were used as a constant and multiplied by the coefficient for each rank. That's why the same discrepancy appears over and over again, and the discrepancy is extremely small in the lower ranks. The possibility of doing so for the convenience of counting? I can make excuses for that. You'll have to check the original data to find out. Everyone looked unbelievable. Hey, is this real? Even if you manipulated it, why did you do it this way? This is enough that even an elementary school student can notice an abnormality with just a brief tap on the calculator. It would have been better to just use a program to extract random numbers. Since the operation was so lame, it was rather hard to believe. But people lie, but numbers don't lie. Someone said, "Shall we look for material from the previous season?" That would be nice. Let's check the voting results for each plum blossom. They skipped dinner and analyzed voting data throughout the season. The result was shocking. It was discovered that not only this time, but all of the 5 seasons that Idol Maker has conducted so far have been manipulated in the same way. In season 3, the constant comes out as 6358. But only the 17th comes out as 6538. Why is this like this? Looks like it's just a fat finger. I made a typo while typing. However, if 1 or 2 people made their debut by reversing their rankings, there is room for extenuating circumstances. However, if the whole program is tampered with, the situation becomes more serious. This is not an issue that will end with a few people involved taking off their clothes. Why did GJ Media do this? I'm sure he wouldn't have manipulated the rankings out of boredom. Something must have happened with the agency. What will happen if I announce this? It's going to be a mess. GJ Media will not be hit hard. It won't be ruined, will it? It won't go bankrupt, but the stock price will plummet. All contest programs will be abolished right away, and you will suffer from lawsuits for damages here and there. GJ Media has about 20 cable channels and is the strongest player in the media industry with movie and music performances. However, their influence was gradually diminishing due to the expansion of OTT such as YouTube and Netplay. Therefore, recently they were trying to transform their business from a content platform to a content creator. The Idol Maker series is the most representative content among them. With a plan to directly raise idols using the platform and make a profit, they collaborated with various agencies and invested billions of dollars to produce it. And fortunately, they achieved great success every season. These idol production programs can earn advertising revenue while they are airing, and can get promotional effects even before their debut. After that, the profits from the performances and music sales can be shared with the agencies, so it is one stone and two birds. As the Idol Maker series gained popularity, large agencies also actively sent out trainees. If the manipulation turned out to be true, GJ Media as well as related agencies, and even the Korean entertainment industry would be shaken up. Someone said cautiously. Anyway, the original data is owned by GJ Media and we will never disclose it. Even if we raise suspicions, won't we talk to the media and cover them up appropriately? If anyone else knows, it's a different story if the vice president trips and falls. No matter how large a company GJ Media is and a big player in the media industry, from the perspective of OTK company, it's like a hole-in-the-wall shop. That's right. At that moment, something popped into Jiang Hansu's mind. Wait a minute. Why did the deputy chief command you to investigate this matter? Baek Jong-hoon, his senior, said. You said earlier. It was because Lena fell. That's just a superficial reason. Was that the only reason you told us to come together and find evidence of voting rigging? As soon as he heard those words, Baek Jong-hoon realized something. Wait, are you planning to completely reorganize the domestic entertainment industry with this event? That's right. If you look at OTK company, they have EDM entertainment in Korea, and they also have OTT LEDs for automobiles that are installed in KarisOS by default. It's true, I didn't mean to say that the trainee you voted for was rejected. It was a misunderstanding. This was because the trainees he voted for were dropped. But those who did not know that fact could not help but marvel. The vice president must have had such a terrifying heart. After all, the vice president of OTK company is not for everyone. At least I almost believed it. Oh, vice president. Jong-soo continued to speak. You have to look at all the programs that have been aired so far and analyze all the votes, related articles, posts and comments announced by Plum Blossoms to see who was eliminated and who benefited. And also about the impact this will have on the entertainment industry in the future. A close analysis is required. At that, an employee named Kim Min-hyuk took out his smartphone with a surprised expression. What's wrong? I have some stock in GJ Media, so I'm selling it quickly. At that moment, Jong-soo thought of a good idea. This is not insider information, we found it by analyzing ourselves. So, is it okay to trade with this information? Everyone's eyes lit up at those words. The market should be fair to investors. It is absolutely illegal for executives and employees or major shareholders to trade stocks using undisclosed information. Insider trading is rarely caught, but if caught, you will not only be punished but you will also be cut off from the company. However, the people gathered here are not insiders, nor have they leaked information from insiders. Although it is undisclosed information, it has nothing to do with illegality as it is information obtained through direct analysis. Someone said something. The opportunity to make money is right in front of you, but it's foolish to stay still. They all took out their smartphones and turned on the MTS without saying who came first. I met an employee named Jang Hansu who works as a quant at Golden Gate with Taekyu. He presented the report as if he hadn't slept in a few days. As you can see, it has been confirmed that extensive manipulation has been made not only this season but throughout the entire season. As the vote rate is set for each trainee and multiplied by the total number of votes, a certain difference in votes appears in each ranking. Could this be a coincidence? Jang Hansu just cut it off and said, I'd rather put the parts in a sack and shake it to make an airplane. I was surprised. Were the votes really rigged? Taekyu said it was natural. I said manipulation. He said looking at his data. There is another strange thing. What? For this season, in the case of online voting on the homepage, voting is completed only by clicking 11 out of 99 votes. So the total number of votes will be 11 as a prime number, and dividing by 11 must match the numbers. I would. However, according to the data here, the total number of votes on the website is 5,050,557, divided by 11 to get a decimal point. From this point on, it doesn't make sense. I got even more ridiculous. Even if you manipulated it, you mean it was so lame? We found it strange too, but I guess so. Take-You sharpened his teeth. I knew this would happen. To hear these guys drop Rena from the debut group with such a dirty shove. That's why Lena fell, even though I sent a text vote of 101 per box so hard. We checked all the broadcast programs, but there are not only 1 or 2 trainees who are presumed to have reversed their rankings. I skimmed the report. It was clear at a glance how the manipulation was done, which trainees and agencies benefited, and what kind of impact this would have on the market. I don't think it's going to be this hard to make a company analysis report. I closed the report and asked him, "Did you earn some money by analyzing this?" He smiled mischievously. "I think we'll get it from now on." Take-You was satisfied and nodded his head. Good for you. The 11 trainees selected as the debut group in Idol Maker 99 Season 5 became an official girl group. In the future, under the support of GJ Media, they will appear on various music programs and enter the Japanese, Chinese, and Southeast Asian markets. At this point, however, something unexpected happened. Chairman Yoo Byung-moon, who received a report from Young Chai Lee, the head of the Kijo room, was furious. The OTK company questioned the results of the Idol Maker 99 voting and requested that the original data be disclosed. Director Lee Young-chai nodded her head. "Yes. If you refuse, I will announce the allegations." Chairman Yoo Byung-moon was absurd. "No, why is OTK company interested in idol contest programs?" Director Lee Young-chai said cautiously. "Isn't it possible that CEO Kong Jin, who was still angry about the incident? What happened back then? Is it because of Jin Wook?" Chairman Yoo Byung-moon has a youngest son named Eugene Wook who was born in an affair. He was also known as a playboy in his business world. He used his position as the son of GJ Group chairman and the head of the entertainment department to forcibly molest women who dreamed of making their debut in the entertainment industry. This caused problems several times, but each time Byung-moon covered it with money and power. Then after Kong Jin-hui, he did something nonsense to his lover. As soon as that fact became known, the large corporations that had provided advertisements turned their backs all at once. Chairman Yoo Byung-moon forced his youngest son to surrender to the police to calm his anger after the earthquake, and Eugene Wook confessed to his crimes. Because there were so many victims, it took time to reach an agreement and the trial was lengthy. Eugene Wook's side deliberately did not actively defend. This is because they feared that Kong Jin-hui would be angry if the punishment was weak. After a long trial, the first trial sentenced him to 3 years in prison. A lot of time has passed since then, and Kong Jin-hui didn't seem to care anymore. He recalled a meeting with his son not long ago. Even if he is a prisoner imprisoned in the same detention center, his dog hair and tiger hair are treated differently. Unlike the other prisoners, he lived in a single room and he met with a lawyer every day. However, no matter how comfortable the detention center is, he is not as good as living in a Gazawan. He cried and shouted to his father who had come to visit him. He said, "If I stay here one more month, I might hang myself to death. Get it out of here, Dad." It broke my heart to see the youngest son, who wouldn't hurt even if he put it in his eyes, was exhausted. He exhorted his son and said, "I entrusted the defense to Young-in Kim and set up a defense team of former judges and prosecutors. Be patient. Since the agreement with the victims has been completed and the petition has been received, the sentence could be commuted with a sufficient probation in the second trial. It seems they have noticed that they are trying to get the team leader out of the appeals court." Chairman Yoo Byung-moon, realizing the heart of the situation awakened, said with a firm expression, "Then is this a warning from CEO Kong Jin-hui to punish Jin Wook strongly? It will be. Otherwise, there is no reason for OTK company to fall over just rigging votes for idol contest programs." "I see. If you ignore this warning, you never know what will happen next. Perhaps the whole group will be disbanded. Jin-ho Kong has the money and power to do that. No matter how lovely the youngest son, he is more than a group. Not insignificant. Chairman Yoo Byung-moon said with a sigh. I contacted Young and Kim and Jin Wook withdrew the entire defense team. All about it. So what about the defense? Just tell me to hire a public defender. Okay. Neither Chairman Yoo Byung-moon nor Director Lee Young-chai could have imagined that this was happening because the trainees voted for by the vice president fell. Exodus 1. Idolmaker 99-3. Jong Ki-hong, the head of the PR team, made a report to the vice president. GJ Group said that Yoo Jin-wook's lawyers were withdrawn. Who is Jin Wook-yoo? He is the youngest son of Chairman Yoo Byung-moon. Why did he turn himself in after flirting with the head of the first legal team in the past? It's him. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison in the first trial, and the appeal is currently pending. He said he would not support any pleadings and would be punished according to the law. If a person commits a crime, they should be punished. Right. Taekyu, who nodded his head as if it was natural, rubbed his eyes and asked. But what does that have to do with this? Team leader Jong Ki-hong tilted his head. Well, me too. So what about the original data? It is said that it is difficult to find it and it is difficult to disclose it because it is not organized. Also, there may be some errors in the process of counting the number of votes, but it is said that it did not affect the ranking. Hearing this, Taekyu got angry. You bastards can't do it. Call the media right away. Okay, Deputy Chief. As the team leader Jong Ki-hong left, Taekyu called somewhere. Hello. How have you been? Yes. What's going on? I'm going to file a complaint. At that, the opponent sighed inwardly. What is the crime? Well, it's probably a scam. A scam? Yes. These guys ate 101 of my text message voting fee raw. This is not a scam, what is it? 101? The amount of damage is 101. No. Would you like me to do this for 101? Of course. I sent several phones for every broadcast, so the total would be around 2,501. I think these vicious bastards should be arrested and fed bean rice. At that, he said, holding back what he wanted to shout. If you want to file a complaint, you can file a complaint at the civil service office. If you speak directly to me like this, you may be misunderstood as a request for investigation. It's a favor to ask you to do it secretly from behind. It's a public matter. It's going to be on the headlights this evening and it will be known in foreign media. CNN, BBC, NHK, CCTV, etc. I will. Suddenly my ears perked up at those words. What is the case? Do you know Idolmaker 99? Breaking news. OTK company raises suspicion of vote manipulation in Idolmaker 99. GJ Media Signboard Entertainment Program, suspicion of manipulation. Is the voting rigging true? What is the intention of OTK company? GJ Media side, there can be no vote manipulation. Entertainment industry officials concerned about negative impact on Hallyu craze by raising baseless allegations. As soon as the article went out, there was an uproar in all directions. Idolmaker 99 is GJ Media's signature program and has been exported not only to Korea but also to more than 20 countries, and idols who debuted through this program are active on the world stage. However, OTK company raised suspicions that this program's ranking was manipulated. Jun Young-han, the general producer of the Idolmaker series, strongly denied it. I checked the data internally, but there is no problem. There may be some errors in the process of aggregating and publishing the votes in real time, but it is not enough to affect the ranking. The official position is that there can be no manipulation. Public opinion stirred. You mean rig the rankings farts? What? Was this manipulation? No, but something was a bit strange. There was a lot of talk last season too. If it's true, isn't it a public fraud? They took the trainees and scammed them to get a job. This is nonsense. But why is OTK company falling over this? The deputy chief ordered it. Why is the vice president? Did the trainee you voted for even drop out? Really? Does that make sense? I guess there was just something wrong with GJ Media. Voting manipulation is unacceptable. If you want to select a specific trainee, it is enough to give an easy competition song, improve editing and increase the screen exposure. But did you falsify the voting of the program watched by the whole nation? This is just bullshit. IK11 Oppas came back with a new song. How could this be? OTK company boycott starts today. Not to the extent of boycotting. Let's show the power of our fans. Apologize to OTK company. I checked the data internally, but there is no problem. There may be some errors in the process of aggregating and publishing the votes in real time, but it is not enough to affect the ranking. The official position is that there can be no manipulation. Public opinion stirred. You mean rig the rankings farts? What? Was this manipulation? No, but something was a bit strange. There was a lot of talk last season too. If it's true, isn't it a public fraud? They took the trainees and scammed them to get a job. This is nonsense. But why is OTK company falling over this? The deputy chief ordered it. Why is the vice president? Did the trainee you voted for even drop out? Really? Does that make sense? I guess there was just something wrong with GJ Media. Voting manipulation is unacceptable. If you want to select a specific trainee, it is enough to give an easy competition song, improve editing and increase the screen exposure. But did you falsify the voting of the program watched by the whole nation? This is just bullshit. IK11 Oppas came back with a new song. How could this be? OTK company boycott starts today. Not to the extent of boycotting. Let's show the power of our fans. Apologize to OTK company. If it was a suspicion raised elsewhere, it could have been adequately covered up. But the opponent is supposed to be the OTK company. Prosecutors and police as well as lawmakers moved. The Korea Communications Commission announced that it would conduct a state inspection in relation to the incident. Chairman Yoo Byung-moon said in a loud voice. Jin-wook also removed all the lawyers. But why are you doing this? Director Lee Young-chai said cautiously. It seems they are trying to reorganize the entertainment industry, this time to expand their OTT service. Are you attacking GJ Media because of that? There is no other reason. Advertisements are coming out one after another, and protests are pouring in from here and there. Chairman Yoo Byung-moon looked like he was about to cry. Why the hell are you doing this to us? What did we do so wrong? Although GJ Media denied it, the situation changed when the OTK company released the data analyzing the voting results and the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office began a full-scale investigation. Prosecutors didn't seem to destroy the evidence or give them time to kiss, so they immediately summoned those involved and started a search and seizure of the GJ Media office and the company that kept the text voting data. It is a problem that can be solved simply by disclosing the original data whether the suspicion is true or not. There's only one reason I can't reveal it. That's because there was actually a manipulation. As soon as the move was announced, the stock price of GJ Media reached its lower limit. Entertainment stocks confirmed to be related also plummeted. It is estimated that extensive manipulation has been made throughout the entire program, not just this season. The probability of these voting results is lower than the probability of winning the lottery 10 times in a row. It turns out that the PD alone compiled the results in a closed room. PD Han Junyoung, did you receive money and entertainment from agencies? Original data must be disclosed in order to dispel allegations. IK11 members can't hide their embarrassment. IK11 fan club announces statement that they still support it. The internet went crazy again. Wow. Did you manipulate this? I knew this. OTK company vice president, just like King God Emperor. These scumbags. Where are all the people who said they weren't the mastermind? Is it an idol chosen by the people? Was this all set? These dogs. Did you mean that you put 101 each on a text ballot and spit it out? Ask for my 101. It was a real job scam. Wow. Really? When I think of the trainees who did not even know that their debut group had been decided, sweating and pouring tears to fulfill their mission, I get angry. Do you have any talent as an agency? Are you saying that if you are upset you should join a good agency? Breach, hospitality, entertainment, employment fraud, voting fraud, obstruction of business. This time, it is necessary to investigate whether Hyo Chong-min was also elected president through voting manipulation. What else is this madman? Haha, seeing you get angry, it looks like you filmed Hyo Chong-min. Why is this dude posting political comments on entertainment articles? Regarding the manipulation of the Idol Maker 99 vote, not only the domestic media but also foreign media covered it as major news. As the situation grew out of control, Chairman Yoo Byung-moon bowed his head in front of the people. I sincerely apologize for the hurt suffered by the trainees who devoted their passion to their dream of debuting. Also, we apologize to the fans and viewers who took their precious time and money to participate in the text voting. As the chairman, I realize my responsibility. I will put all the profits obtained through the program and future profits to be used for the continued growth of the Korean music industry and K-pop. GJ Media acknowledged the manipulation and apologized, but said it would not disclose the original data. It was because of the reason that it would harm both the trainees who had previously debuted and the trainees who were eliminated. However, due to the prosecution's investigation, public opinion and pressure, and the coercion of the vice president of OTK company, GJ Media eventually released the original data of the voting results conducted through text messages and online. So the rankings announced again were surprising. Again, the rankings were reversed throughout the entire season and the passers and losers were reversed. IK11, which debuted through last season, also shocked the fans when it was revealed that as many as 4 members passed illegally. Idols who had been eliminated but had their status changed to passers-by stopped their activities at once and went into self-discipline. Ellie looked at me and asked, "How will this happen?" The popularity and fandom gained through debut doesn't disappear, so when the incident is forgotten, they will be active again. They say, "I'm here with new music for the fans who have been waiting for me." Isn't it for you? Well, it's similar to saying that politicians are returning to politics for the people. It doesn't matter what happened last season. Take-U is only interested in this season. We opened the internet and checked it all together. The top rankings did not change significantly. The number of votes is different and the 3rd and 4th places are interchangeable. It was still the lower ranks that were intensively manipulated. 3 of the 6 people from 6th to 11th changed and 2 had different rankings. The person with the same ranking is Siona, who took 7th place. There was only one. The positions of the 3 who were eliminated due to manipulation were occupied by trainees from agencies known for providing entertainment and entertainment. Read more at wuxiax.com. And the moment we checked Lena's ranking, which can be said to be the beginning of all of this, we were at a loss for words. After a while, Ellie said in bewilderment, "It's the same as before if you're 13th. If that's the case, you won't be able to join her debut group, will you?" "Yeah, I will." Of course, Lena's ranking, which she thought was a manipulation, didn't really change. Taeyong had a shocked expression on his face. What? I can't do this." I shouted at Take-U. "What can't be like this? What's wrong with GJ Media? Apologize to GJ Media for robbing you of your soul right now." "Aw, no, it's true that it was fabricated anyway, so there's no guilt. That's it. But if Lena had been in her debut group, this wouldn't have happened." Take-U murmured while looking out at the garden for nothing. Although Lena's debut failed, she succeeded in setting her social justice right. Everything went as planned. What was your plan? 3 months later, the prosecution announced the results of the investigation. PD Han Junyoung, CP Lee Byum-young, and Assistant PD Junyoung were arrested, and entertainment officials known for having entertained them, as well as entertainment reporters including the Cho Jung-ilbo, were also indicted without detention. An Song-nam, chief of the Seoul District Prosecutor's Office, explained the results of the investigation. "Our prosecution will continue to investigate and thoroughly punish illegal acts such as entertainment, and corruption that disturb the fair market order." Take-U looked at him and muttered, "That man has to buy me food. I have to buy this one twice." Then why is the chief of the district prosecutor's office directly presenting the results of the investigation? Because it's a custom. Lena, who was not in her debut group, left her agency and signed a contract with EDM Entertainment. She says that in the future she plans to debut as a 4-member girl group she will join with the other members. Did everything go well with this? Thinking like that, Take-U suddenly said something out of the ordinary. "Don't you think the Mango chart is a bit strange?" "Huh. Pure Girl's new song couldn't make it to the top 10, but Strange Songs suddenly hit the top. So, I think there is a manipulation in the music rankings." "What are you talking about? How do you manipulate music rankings?" "It's like putting hundreds of smartphones in a factory and running macro programs to raise the rankings. Does that make sense?" "It's true. Lee Sedol also loses to AlphaGo, so how can humans defeat machines? These guys are disturbing the fair market order in this way. We need to investigate this. We should contact Mango right away and ask him to inspect the data." "Stop it now." Exorcism 2. President's Game, 1. Samsung Electronics, which was considered a strong player in the semiconductor and smartphone markets, joined hands with Keras to dominate the automotive electronic equipment market, and has grown into a company with a market cap of over KRW 1,000 trillion. Samsung Electronics decided not to stay here, but to challenge new industries. That's the game field. Vermorpk development led by OTK Games has received tremendous momentum. This will be a game changer, literally changing the history of the game world. Therefore, Samsung Electronics joined hands with OTK Games to develop a console that can run virtual reality games. If successful, there is a high possibility that it will become a future food source for Samsung Electronics after automobile electronic equipment. After graduating from the game department of a local college, Kim Hyun-ho has been living as an unemployed for 2 years. His pocket money had long since been cut off, so he worked part-time at a convenience store at night, and other times he mostly played games at home. After accessing Lost Fantasy online, he heard from his friends who played games with him that Samsung Electronics had published a special recruitment notice for Vermorpk console development. Namadi's muscle loss. Samsung Electronics specially hired this time. Jiu One-Wei. Developing a console would be fun. Are Vermorpks really coming out? But aren't the qualifications tight? 3 generations of 501. This time the recruitment standards have changed, so the minimum educational level is high school graduate or higher, and they are selected based only on skills, not academic degrees or certificates. Jiu One-Wei. I heard that a lot of large companies are hiring blinds these days, so it seems like that. Namadi's muscle loss. As I am a console developer, wouldn't it be advantageous if I knew the game well? 3 generations of 501. Right now, game junkies are going to be furious about putting in the application form. Hill Armor Enforcement Team. Haha, that's all nonsense. I'll just say that it's blind hiring and I'll just pick and choose the kids from prestigious universities. 3 generations of 501. Haha. Still, you have to go down to see it. Up until this point I had no interest in it. But as soon as his mother kissed him on the back he changed his mind. Damn. Evil. Why are you hitting me? You don't get a job, you just play games at home. What the hell are you trying to be? Po next door is so attached to SSK Telecom. I'm going to get a job now too. I'm getting job information right now. My mom doesn't even know. Where are you going to get a job? Samsung Electronics. What? Samsung Electronics? What nonsense. Do you know what kind of convenience store it is? Don't stop me. Sooner or later my son will join Samsung Electronics. My mother gave me a surprised expression and a guy called my sister, who I heard about later, grabbed my stomach and laughed. Fahaha. When you joined Samsung Electronics, you put a chapter in my hands. When everyone said no, something went wrong. I was more confident than anyone else when it came to playing games while touching the computer. I've played almost all MMORPGs that have been released so far, and I've cleared all the Lost Fantasy series. Kim Hyun-ho made a job application with screenshots of the games he had played. He actually didn't think he was going to be able to even submit his job application. But surprisingly, he passed the document screening, went up to the interview and even passed. What kind of company is Samsung Electronics? It is the largest company in Korea and the world's largest IT manufacturer. Seriously, even if Korea goes bankrupt, Samsung Electronics won't go bankrupt. But if Samsung Electronics goes down, is there a saying that Korea will collapse? When her son passed Samsung Electronics, her mother was excited and spread rumors around the neighborhood, proudly boasting about her son in front of her mother. Of course, the older sister did not hold the chapter in her hand. Kim Hyun-ho went to Daejeon to receive training for new employees. Since he was a special recruit, there weren't many people there. Still, the number was close to 100 as new employees from each affiliate gathered in one place. Men and women of the same age exchanged greetings by talking to each other. Which college did you go to? I came from the Department of Mechanical Engineering at Yonsei University. Yonsei University. That's the Korean language department of Yonsei University. Really? What grade are you in? The new recruits who saw each other for the first time gathered around Gaekyeon. Even if they were selected based on their ability without looking at their academic background and qualifications, most of them were from colleges or universities that you would know just by hearing their names. Nevertheless, academic degrees and qualifications indicate a person's abilities. Therefore, the higher the education level and the more qualifications, the higher the probability of having better skills. Still, thanks to blind hiring, there were people who joined despite their academic background. Kim Hyun-ho was just such a case. He realized it through training. They are all equally stupid now, but sooner or later the gap will widen. While he was playing games, the others studied hard and got their licenses, so it's only natural. In order not to fall behind, you need to be alert from now on. He clenched his fists and swore. From now on, only studying. After training for new employees, Kim Hyun-ho entered the console development department. There, the developers who made gaming laptops and monitors had already separated from each other and formed a team. He had a couple and went out drinking and hanging out with his close friends, but he devoted his time to self-development, such as going to a private academy after work and taking online lectures. 3 months passed like that. As he was slowly getting used to the job, his manager approached and said, "Mr. Hyun-ho Kim." "Yes." The boss called. "Yes, boss." The business divisions of Seosung Electronics are divided into semiconductors, IMCE display and electronics. If you look at each division alone, it is larger than most cable groups. In addition, Seosung Electronics has a supply chain and sales network not only in Korea but also around the world. As the company is doing business around the world, the president stayed in Korea for only a few months. It is extremely rare for a new employee to speak directly to the president. What the hell is going on? He went to his boss's office, very nervous. When I entered the president's office following the secretary's guidance, I saw Dong-jun Cho, the president of Seosung Electronics IM division. He bowed his head and said hello. "Hello. This is Kim Hyun-ho, a new employee of Seosung Electronics." "Sit there for a second." President Cho Dong-jun was concentrating on scanning his data. I did something and took a peek, and it was none other than his job application. "I see here that I have won prizes in game competitions." "Yes. When I was in college, I went to a star contest hosted by Bear TV and finished third." At that time, he even dreamed of becoming a pro gamer for a while. He was knocked out in the next tournament, though he was eliminated from the qualifiers. President Cho Dong-jun said as he closed his documents. "What's your job?" Kim Hyun-ho quickly responded with an attentive posture. "I am an employee of Seosung Electronics." It was a question about what your job was in Lost Fantasy Online. "Yes. But White Mage. What level is it?" "It's Man Lab." "Then can I use Arcane Thrower?" "It's possible. That's because it's a magic that you must learn when you reach level 30. Lightning writes. You can use it. However, since it is a wide area machine, MP consumption is large, and there is a problem that once used, it becomes completely defenseless for 3 minutes. Do you have any engineering experience?" "Yes. In fact, he is an engineering major including Legend of War, WF, Black Desert and Lost Fantasy Online. Not to mention the money, he served as an engineering captain in all 3 major games and achieved the engineering captain triple crown." "I'll ask you one last time. Why did you choose a white mage as a profession?" "I'm confident in my control. The wizard controls the mouse when casting magic and must enter commands. The amount of damage varies depending on how accurately and quickly you input. That was the reason he chose the white mage." President Cho Dong-jun, who got up from his seat, patted his shoulder with a satisfied smile. "You passed. You are the talent we were looking for." "Yes. Mother. My son is so recognized by the company. However, it is still questionable as to why it was recognized. From now on you have work to do." Kim Hyun-ho looked at his eyes and asked carefully, "What can I do?" "Starting today, I'll take over the SS Raid Squad leader." "Yes." After work, Kim Hyun-ho headed to a cafe in Nonhyundong with CO Cho Dong-jun. There were already 6 people gathered there. These were the engineering members of the SS Attack Squad, and they were all composed of executives and employees of the Seosung Group. Excluding those who have work, only people who are nearby gathered. They welcomed Kim Hyun-ho. "Welcome. I am Ju Song-mo, Executive Director of Seosung Life Insurance. Nice to meet you. This is Choi Dong-wook, Director of Seosung Fire and Marine Insurance." The person with the lowest rank was the team leader. After the greeting, Kim Hyun-ho sat down. After each of them ordered coffee, CO Dong-jun Cho brought up the main topic. "Did you know that the president is playing Lost Fantasy Online?" Yes. I saw it in the press. Perhaps because of that, OTK Games and Seosung Electronics held several events together. Kim Hyun-ho asked. Hey, but where did the original engineering captain go? The former chief of engineering was Seosung SB Song Min-ho. He was working hard on Lost Fantasy Online, and one day he was so thirsty for the paladin he was playing with in a raid. But it turned out that the paladin was the president of the company he worked for. It was a famous anecdote that Chairman Im Jin-young visited him and ate with him. He knew we'd been playing games together ever since. Did you get cut because of work then? I think so, CEO Cho Dongjun said. Not long ago I was promoted and moved to the current Frankfurt branch. I have to receive training for a year, so it's impossible to entrust the chief of engineering for a while. That's right. Fortunately, I didn't get cut and was promoted safely. Currently, our engineering college is preparing for the Karakshila raid. Karakshila is one of the representative boss mobs in Lost Fantasy Online, and you can receive various items by defeating them. The most important of these is the president needs the Polaris sword, which can be obtained by defeating Karakshila. Since this is a binding item, it can only be obtained through raids. Lost Fantasy Online is a subscription service and does not sell any game-related items. However, it did not block item transactions between users. Therefore, money and items earned in the game were actively traded between users. There was also an official website that relayed and auctioned it. However, since the bound items belonged to the account, it was impossible to trade them unless the whole character was sold. Isn't it okay to just buy a similar sword? Even if the Polaris sword doesn't trade, the Galaxy sword does. The dildo comes out better, and there's even a wide area buff skill. In fact, the Polaris sword wasn't that great of an item. If you're smart, you can buy enough for 5 million won. If someone you don't know hears it, they'll be shocked at what game items you spend that much money on, but compared to items that cost tens of millions of won, this is a little too much. Read more at wuxiax.com. Not long ago, Redstream, which succeeded in strengthening 7, was sometimes traded at a price of over 100 million at an auction. President Cho Dongjun asked Hyun-ho Kim, "Do you know how rich the president is in Korea?" It was a random question, but he answered calmly. "Isn't that 4th place?" There was a time when the richest man in Korea thought of the family of the owner of the Seosung Group. The domestic ranking was pushed back due to the OTK company trio, but the world ranking rose by dozens of steps. As Kim Hyun-ho did not seem to understand, President Cho Dongjun added a word. "If you're going to play smart, why would the president play a game?" The reason the game is fun is that it is rewarded for the amount of time and effort put into it. If you can easily get what you want through insanity, there is no need to play the game. The president is no Hyun-jil. Therefore the raid must be successful. Karakshila is a representative boss mob in Lost Fantasy Online. There are many things that can be gained if the attack is successful, but it is notorious for being very difficult to attack. Even when talented engineering teams rush in, about 2/3 of them fail. Have you ever attacked before? President Cho Dongjun nodded his head. I tried twice but failed. Somehow I managed to get to the 3rd phase, but then I was wiped out. Some boss mobs transform as the battle progresses. Each time the strategy changes. Kim Hyun-ho watched the video of the last failed raid on his smartphone. And he coldly analyzed the power of the SS Engineering Corps. The 15-person squad itself isn't bad. It would be nice to have one dealer missing and one more healer, but the current configuration is fine. The important thing is tactics. It doesn't mean that you do it. You have to devise a group tactic according to the type of boss mob. At his words, the expressions of the president, managing director and director brightened. This friend is not normal. How could such a talented person exist at Seosung Electronics? I'm looking forward to the future raid. Kim Hyun-ho, who received everyone's expectations, said in a panic. But there are many things that I lack in many ways to become an engineering captain. The position of the engineering captain is a position with greater responsibilities and duties than the group task leader. While commanding the entire engineering school, one person has to do his part. And it should also act as a mediator to mediate so that there is no conflict between the engineering members. Because the game world is wide and there are many trolls. It is not uncommon for raids to fail or to disintegrate due to an unqualified engineering leader. I haven't been able to properly adjust to my job yet, so I'm not sure if I can take on such an important position. President Cho Dong-jun put his hand on his shoulder and said, "Games are also an extension of work." Yes. When the mobile phone first came out, no one could have imagined that everyone around the world would have one. The chairman thinks for more consoles will be like that too. So he's been thinking about the direction of development by playing the game himself. Such a deep meaning. That's why the boss is also working hard on Lost Fantasy Online. President Cho Dong-jun nodded at Kim Hyun-ho's resilience. That's it. Actually, I just did it because it was fun. Exorcism 2. President's Game. We decided to play a game together and decide whether to accept the position of the engineering captain. Kim Hyun-ho accessed Lost Fantasy Online after a long time. Various characters such as warriors, paladins, priests and archers were already gathered in the field. Kim Hyun-ho paid attention to the paladin wearing silver armor among them. The nickname floating above the knight's head is Gene Dragon. In Lost Fantasy Online, this nickname is popular. His true identity is none other than Im Jin-young, the chairman of the Susong Group. It is a great honor to be able to meet the president like this even in the game. Yu Won-wei. Nice to meet you, chairman. This is Kim Hyun-ho, a new employee of Seosung Electronics. I'm so glad we got to play the game together. Smiley face. Gene Dragon. Hello. I wish you all the best in the future. Yu Won-wei. Today, let's take a look around India lightly. Kim Hyun-ho went around the dungeon with the engineering members and analyzed the characteristics, skills and control ability of each class. He was quite surprised by the skills of Chairman Im Jin-young while playing the game together. He's not remarkably good at it, but he's done enough for at least one man. I thought it was a balcone or a troll, but he's pretty good. The same was true of President Cho Dong-jun and Managing Director Ju Sung. So I thought it might be worth a try. Above all, after playing the game for a while, the taste of my hands was firmly attached. Okay. Working hard at the game is also a way to improve work skills. Kim Hyun-ho accepted the post of SS Engineering College. His primary goal is to defeat Karak Tula. He devised a raid strategy in detail, and on weekends, except for those who were busy or on business trips, they gathered in the PC room to conduct mock battles and put their hands together. As a result, 2 weeks passed and the raid day came 1 day later. To him who was about to leave work, President Cho Dong-jun said with a sad expression on his face, "If you fail this raid, be prepared to write your resignation." At that, Kim Hyun-ho was surprised and asked, "Yes. Do I really need to write a resignation letter? It's only been 3 months since I joined the company." Seeing his expression, CEO Cho Dong-jun burst out laughing. "Haha. I was joking. Be prepared to do that." "Haha. That's right. I don't think it's a joke." He grimaced inwardly. This raid must be successful. The day of the raid was bright. Before starting the raid, he checked his headset, keyboard and mouse connections in the spirit of a knight going to war. To him, the keyboard was a sword and the mouse was like a shield. Before entering the dungeon, he gave a detailed briefing as an engineering captain. Everyone paid attention and engraved his words. "Yu Won-wei, from now on you must follow my instructions carefully. Gene Dragon, of course, I'm Boss Joe, just give me orders." Together they entered the dungeon. As they went inside while getting rid of miscellaneous mobs and avoiding traps, a giant spider monster welcomed them. This is Karakshula, which moves quickly and has strong defense for its size. In addition, there is a characteristic that properties change frequently. Therefore, it was important to catch the attribute change quickly and change the attack method from time to time. Key. The boss mob raid finally started with shouts.